Well, here we are again, my friends, and it is just insane what's going on. I cannot believe that Obama is officially becoming a dictator, and it is just being announced like they're talking about the cost of pork bellies or the weather in Topeka, Kansas. It is just being calmly discussed like you were tuning into the local news to hear the high school football scores on Friday night. I mean, this is amazing. This is how liberty dies, not with an uproar against it, but with a thunderous applause as the Republican Party leadership comes out and basically says on the NSA, you name it, we're just going to let Obama act unilaterally. But then the Speaker of the House, Boehner, I saw it on his Facebook, has an image of Boehner holding up the Constitution. And it says, you know, we operate under the Constitution. We have the Constitution. And then next to it, it has Obama saying President Obama has his pen and his phone. In fact, I'm going to grab that right now and retweet that. We're going to grab that image and retweet that at Real Alex Jones. In the next 5 minutes when I go to break, I'm going to tweet it myself. But the issue is there is everything in that image because Boehner has allowed this on so many fronts, and the Republican blue blood leadership has helped lead to this because they know Obama's going to leave office probably. He actually may not, though. I think it's in the cards they could set off nukes or something and blame it on the Patriot movement, and then all hell's going to break loose. But I don't even think they're that crazy because I've looked at the evidence. I've just really studied it geopolitically, culturally, across the board. I don't think the elite are that reckless. I mean, fortune does favor the bold, and the fortune they seek is tyranny and total dominance, but I don't even think they're that crazy because I don't see it going well for them. Maybe they know something I don't know. I'm sure they do, but they're strongly considering it. They are making preparations for it. I think Obama, in a couple of years, will leave office coming up in 3 years. I think he will leave office. But it won't matter because the executive and the bureaucracy will be an official, full-blown dictatorship. Kind of like under Caesar, the Roman Senate became ceremonial under Julius Caesar. And he became the new king of the Roman Empire. And then, of course, the long decline started from there. But this decline is going to go much, much, much faster now. And I've told everybody I have a lot of dread. I've been having dread the last few months, and whenever I have feelings of dread, really bad things happen. And I'm not the only one feeling it. Everyone I talk to feels it. And it is, let's not exaggerate, 10 times anything I've ever felt. It is so intense that I don't know what's going to happen. And I'm not in fear either. I'm just in preparation and trying to figure out why. I mean, you could see it all happening. I mean, we should all be upset off what's going on, but it's something much bigger. And I don't know if it's a giant false flag or World War III or an asteroid hitting the Earth or a global collapse in the financial markets or a bioweapon being released. I want to open the phones today and ask you, what are you feeling? Because you got to go off feelings. You got to go off gut at the end of the day. And I just have a desperate feeling of wanting to be able to figure out what's happening and somehow disarm this. And it's a feeling of like a child trapped under a car and you're not strong enough to get the car off of them and they're screaming and yelling, asking for help. I mean, we're all collectively on this ship of humanity together. And the worst of the worst are running it. And I guess that's probably the gut feeling overall, is just that we're in the hands of evil. And we wish it wasn't true, but it's true. And I think what I'm feeling is collectively everyone's starting to wake up to how much trouble we're in. And so I'm feeling the group collective's anxiety. I think we just quantified the large portion. To get Jakari Jackson's breakdown, to get the breakdown by Don Salazar on other points in hindsight, and some of the video reports they've shot that we've not aired yet. They're going to be airing on the nightly news tonight and on the radio tomorrow on a host of issues, not just the radiation issue, increasing out on the West Coast and across the country as well. And then we're going to get Glenn Trolls and, of course, Josh Owens in here, the two camera guys that are both smart fellows in their own right, to give us their take. In fact, I'm going to spend most of my time talking to them because we haven't had them on air yet to give us their report on what's happening out in California with the increasing radiation waves coming across, being reported even by the federal government, hitting the West Coast as the meltdowns continue and as they continue to dump salt water out of the ocean by the hundreds of thousands of gallons a day onto the plutonium, the uranium, and the rest of it as it then just pours into the ocean, an ongoing Chernobyl event every few months. They're saying it's as big as Chernobyl. So this is just an ongoing cancer that is just continuing to kill the sardines, kill the tuna. I can't believe that major universities, we've covered it, say 98% die off in the northern Pacific and in the areas around California in much of the sea life. This is just incredible. But I'm not going to cover that anymore today until the last 30 minutes of the transmission. You know, I woke up at 5 a.m. this morning. I couldn't sleep, and I basically sat there and read news till about 8 a.m., and then I got in here to the office about 30 minutes before airtime and started reading news again. And all of the incredible news that we're going to be covering, mostly in the second hour, fits into the puzzle, really illustrating that things are getting out of control. And that's what tyrannies are like. And tyrannies can usually control their domestic population, but then they pick fights they can't win outside the country. Generally with other tyrannies, they're delusional as well. That's when you get big wars, is when you've got two delusional governments who are used to not being stopped and not being brought into line and who are out of control and who shouldn't be in power, who are control freaks, tyrants, autocrats, psychopaths, sociopaths, insane zealots. There's a lot of different variants in history. We have a scientific control freak group that has created a cosmology of control and a pretext for their lust for control that they call the technocratic scientific dictatorship in their words. I mean, these are words Zbigniew Brzezinski uses. These are words that Aldous Huxley uses, Julian Huxley of the UN. These are the words that all of them use. And that's what's so frustrating is I don't even read their books anymore. The last book I read by a globalist was last year by Zbigniew Brzezinski. His, I think, 5th book I've read, bragging about how they run everything. I mean, Between Two Ages and some of his other books, he admits that the governments run the organized crime, that the governments run everything. And the argument was, well, we better control it or it'll get out of hand. The best way to control the opposition is to lead it. Well, you're certainly not controlling white slavery. You're expanding it. You're certainly not controlling the drug trade. You're expanding it. You're certainly not controlling parents that abuse their kids. You're taking innocent children to feed your mills. And that's always the argument up front to get good men who are warped but aren't overall bad to follow evil men's orders is, well, you know, the communists do false flags, and so do what you got to do, men. Are we going to do a false flag to stop the North Vietnamese from being able to gain the hearts and minds and kill hundreds of thousands? Or are we going to do what it takes and blow up that market, target some kids, kill a few kids, be real men, and then save hundreds of thousands? That's what Colonel Kurtz, which is based on a composite of several true stories, and that's on record. Coppola's now talked about that. It's a composite of several different events that happened in Vietnam. And with how special forces and people would end up basically going rogue. The military would later say they'd gone rogue. It was actually test operations to fight the Viet Cong with tactics even more vicious and evil and insane than their own. And Colonel Kurtz is saying, we came upon a village that had just been vaccinated. And because they'd accepted the aid and been vaccinated, the North Vietnamese regulars chopped off over 100 children's arms in a neat little pile. And they didn't do this because they were evil men or tyrants, to paraphrase Colonel Kurtz. They did it because they were hardened cadres who loved their families and did this on a mission to defeat us. And he said, if I had 1,000 such men, our troubles in Vietnam would be over very, very quickly. But, of course, Kurtz is insane and has malaria and has been doing these type of things And that's how they corrupted our system. Oh, we're not going to let the communists deal the drugs. Men, we're going to run the drugs and we're going to control it. We're not going to, let them be involved. Then we can limit it. And this is, the truth must be guarded by a bodyguard of lies. Winston Churchill. But no, this is the path to evil. The end justifies the means. Do you know how Delta Force, this got declassified 15 years ago. Do you know, because they changed it after that, because there was actually some people that criticized it and it came out in Congress briefly. Do you know how Delta Force, from the Navy SEALs, the Army, you name it, the best of the best, do you know how Delta Force gets chosen? They bring them in after all this training and after all the psychological testing and everything, and they have them read Machiavelli's The Prince, written 500 years ago by an Italian nobleman. And in the book, he explains how you end up being more evil than evil to protect the good, and how that's how you dominate, and the end justifies the means. And they have them read The Prince. They don't do this now because they know how to pass the test. And then if they decided that, no, I will do horrible things for a greater good, they go, well, you have graduated. Welcome to Delta Force, Commander. And that's how this works. That's how this seduction works, ladies and gentlemen. And I'll be honest with you, fighting evil like I do every day, I want to resort to evil tactics, but I will not do it, because you cannot use the Ring of Mordor towards good. To use the analogy of Gandalf, when he gets off of the ring, he goes, no, 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 I would try to use this for good. Out of my heart wanting to defeat the evil, but I would become evil. And that's how it works. And in my life, I've gotten to the point where now I retrospectively look at what I've done in my own life and how evil always tries to project onto me that I'm bad, that I'm a wolf, that I'm corrupt, because the system knows my strength is in that I'm honorable. The system knows my strength is that I am true. The system knows I'm real. They've got me totally surveilled. And that's a bad example of their own people who believe there is no good left. It's a bad example that I could have success against tyrants. It's a bad example that I could find others who believe like I do to join together in common cause for human dignity. That something's got to be crushed and destroyed. Well, I'm here to tell you there are good people in this world. And there are a lot of them. In fact, the majority of people at heart are good. They're just deceived. And good people are always guilted by evil people, I've discovered, into feeling bad about all of our own little vices, our own little problems that we're not proud of. But we're human, and God knows that as well. It's the Pharisees and the accusers. The devil's called the accuser for a reason. They accuse us so that we stand down and feel guilty, while they are consciously evil and want to learn about new forms of evil to deploy against people, when we are consciously good and love God and our hearts are right and we want to be good. And I am just learning more and more about the enemy and how the enemy operates. And the enemy is now showing itself because the enemy is in trouble. And the enemy will gain a foothold on this planet for a day. A day. A day is just like a couple of years in the universal time. The enemy will have his day. But it's already the beginning of the end for the New World Order. And the only thing that gives me sustenance is what feeds my heart and my soul, and that's liberty and justice. And I know my works are like dirty rags. But it doesn't matter, because my heart is right. And I have a conscience, and I don't like the evil, and I don't like the bad. And more, I cannot be around it. I cannot stand looking at it. Intense, conscious evil. I'm not judging people that have their own problems, their own thorn in the side. I'm talking about people who enjoy hurting other people, who enjoy hurting innocents, who enjoy torturing people, who enjoy wrecking societies. That's what I'm talking about. Now, I've preached enough, and I'm sorry. But I read all this news, and then I get on air, and I can't even cover it a lot because it affects me so much to know what's happening. And to see that we're following this globalist roadmap, and it's leading right where they said it would, and we're just getting sucked down into it. But we're going to get into the huge news and open the phones up. I'm going to give you the big news on the other side of this break. It's so important, ladies and gentlemen. Every hour, every minute counts before the full enemy onslaught is launched. Really shakes them up about the fact that they know cell phones, on record, when you hold them up to your head for long periods of time, will give you brain cancer. It's a fact. It rattles the DNA, creates a vibration, breaks the DNA strands, gives you cancer. There's literally hundreds and hundreds of major studies showing it. They put out a few fake studies saying it isn't. We're going to be playing that video. We've also got Discovery Channel saying, hey, don't listen to conspiracy theorists. There is some increased radiation, but it's not bad for you. Allah and culture, you know, the Japanese ought to be thankful. We've got that clip coming up. Nothing against Ann Coulter, folks. Just when you say the Japanese ought to be thankful, radiation's good for you. I mean, you know, just that's meant to get people to talk about you, so I will talk about you. That's a bunch of bull. And this attitude that you can drink a gallon of whiskey every day and not get liver failure, or this attitude we can be around all this radiation or have toxic waste out there, we need to clean up our environment. Just because the left uses the environmental stuff to power grab doesn't mean that we should then just not care about the environment. I'm now preaching again. Because they only do that so that we don't actually clean up the environment. So the globalists can continue to do whatever they want by leading the opposition. Just because they claim they're leading something doesn't mean that libertarians or constitutionalists or whatever you call yourself then just turn it over to them. It's very simple. Enough of that. Here is the big issue. And we've now reached the critical point that I've been warning everybody about the last 6 years. Or longer, but under Obama, it's been definitely materializing and accelerating and really fleshing itself out. Here's AP. Obama to Dems, I'll act with or without Congress. It's like the U2 song, with or without you. Yeah, that's Hitler's maxim. Senior UK defense advisor, Obama is clueless about what he wants to do in the world. That ties into that. Because, again, these autocratic regimes are real good at thinking they're in control, lying to themselves, and just dominating everybody. But then it starts to get to the point where there are other governments out there that aren't going to buckle, and other groups, and then you end up getting giant wars. You end up getting civil wars when you guys stage some event and claim the Liberty Movement did it and then come to confiscate the guns. They're already trying to confiscate guns by stealth, listing people as mentally ill that aren't. But the list just goes on and on and on with what's unfolding right now. Now, the big issue is you're like, well, okay, dictatorship, we know that's happening. What's the rest of the story, as Paul Harvey Goodday would say? We're failing the test. Congress on a host of issues, military operations, to a great extent, power plants, borders, now Obamacare. All of it is just letting Obama do whatever he wants. And Congress said on Monday, that is the leadership of it, the traitors, not the whole Congress, but people in control, the captain of the ship, the leaders of the committees, said, we're going to let you do whatever you want on the NSA. It's admitted to be giant and illegal. We were all part of it. In the leadership, we're going to pass the buck to you. And so Obama will come out with some rhetoric saying, trust me, that's the quote, I'm going to fix this, we're going to cut back on this, and then they'll actually expand it as he does on every front and betray people. And you've got the Republican and Democratic Party leadership that are working together to bamboozle the public and to act like they're actually reforming something when they're the ones, the same Republican and Democratic leadership that are giving more money collectively to go after Tea Party candidates than they are against Republican and Democrat. While telling Tea Party, be our friends, come into the blue bloods. We don't want to fight with you. Be nice to us while they attack them. Through the government, through the IRS, with the funds, through all the so-called corporate organizations. They're all lined up, all the establishment. Most of them establishment nobodies who are mid-level toadies, who are functionaries in corporate governance, who sold out their whole future just to be invited to the table and not even be given scraps. Most of these corporate guys, just to be at the table and be patted on the head, like preening peacocks. They want to just be at the table, feeling like they're powerful, imagining that they're having power. Let me tell you, corrupt people that are looking for power or something, you would have gotten more power at this stage in the game fighting the New World Order than you'll get selling out to it. Don't you understand that, you idiots? You're so stupid. If he gets away with this, and if we don't make a huge issue out of it, and if Congress isn't forced, who's blackmailed and paid off and intimidated and ignorant, to really stand up against this now, Obama could actually try to stay in office. But because he himself is a puppet, they'll get more gas mileage out of a new puppet. The establishment won't let him. But here's the problem. When you create a centralized apex of power that's not distributed and that's not separated, it can be taken over by an internal coup. And I don't want a military coup in this country because those generally don't go well. It was led by patriots, and they reinstated the Bill of Rights and Constitution and tried to dismantle the system and was honest about it and said, we've had a false foreign takeover. And then they, tried to put the Speaker of the House in control. It still wouldn't go well because the Speaker of the House is controlled by the very same globalists and intimidated. That's why our system is in so much trouble. That's why the globalists are so incredibly ignorant of the danger that they've foisted the whole world into, because they think they're playing a 19th century coup d'etat by bureaucracy and by corporate interest. But that's not what's happening. They're actually destroying the entire infrastructure of checks and balances that has allowed a lot of wealth to be generated and produced and a lot of liberty to be maintained compared to other nations. Now, there is a lot to break down. There is a lot to cover here today. But what I'm getting at is this. Congress is telling Obama in almost every message they send him, we're not going to resist you. We are going to fully and totally empower you while only giving lip service rhetoric against you. And that tells you that when you see Homeland Security gearing up to crush domestic dissent, when you see the spy grids being rolled out publicly, when you see all the preparations for war being made, when you see the preparations for economic collapse and bank holidays and bail-ins and stealing your bank accounts and nationalizing your private pensions and cutting Social Security, all those preparations are being set up. And none of that will ever make the country solvent. This is a process we've been put into to be bankrupted and robbed towards total political control and centralization and domestication. They want you dependent. This is horrible slavery and bondage we're going into, consciously, premeditatedly focused. And I and Ron Paul and Rand Paul and Ted Cruz and countless others who love liberty, and they all tend to be generally libertarians or constitutionalists, classical liberals, are fighting the authoritarians that call themselves liberals and the authoritarians that call themselves mainline Republicans. Whether it's World Ent Daily or Matt Drudge or even Glenn Beck, for that matter, it's good messages overall of what made this country great and of the fact that, hey, we didn't cause this calamity and this list of calamities and the cascade of crises that are coming and unfolding. We didn't cause this. All of us are somewhat guilty for not doing enough, not being virtuous enough, not being moral enough to stop it, the degeneration of society. But we're not consciously aiding and abetting this. And now we know it's happening, and we're going to do something and say something about it. That's all that matters. And then if you do say something and stand up, and if you try to be Andy Griffith in your area and really try to help your community and not Judge Dredd, we can begin to turn this society around.
Unfortunately, you've grown up hearing voices that incessantly warn of government as nothing more than some separate, sinister entity that's at the root of all our problems. Some of these same voices also do their best to gum up the works. They'll warn that tyranny is always lurking just around the corner. You should reject these voices, because what they suggest is that our brave and creative and unique experiment in self-rule is somehow just a sham.
All right, that's enough. I mean, it is a sham. Obamacare is a sham. Shipping the jobs overseas is a sham, a scam. Everything now is a scam. And good people in government have basically given up. And good people in corporations have kind of given up. And there's this laissez-faire attitude about evil that is going to unleash hell on earth. And it does every time, by the way. But this isn't Rome. This isn't Babylon. This isn't ancient China. This isn't ancient Mesoamerica, where all they had was swords and spears to cause living hell. Now they've got nanotech, bioweapons, chemical weapons, nuclear weapons, and other horrible things, and psychotronic and positronic and brainwashing and chemicals in the water. And I mean, it is just a bunch of psychopaths turned loose with our resources and our technology in compartmentalized, above government, corporate reservations, playing God while they create hundreds. It's like 24 underground seed banks and over 100 DNA and RNA banks, and they're building giant underground bunkers and talking about how great it's going to be after the huge apocalypse that's coming, cataclysm. They're calling it that in all these shows and movies about how wonderful it's going to be. You're soon all going to die, and then a small elite will reemerge and create a utopia. Moonraker, Ian Fleming, MI6. Elysium. Doesn't mean it's all going to happen that way, but that's what they're shooting for. They go off to Elysium, but more technically underground, but they have the Elysium plan. Did you know all that's really a real plan? Look it up. The ring cities. We could already have all that, ladies and gentlemen, but they're not going to let you have that. 2001 Space Odyssey. 2 men go into space. The robot, the technocracy, kills one of them. Then the transcendent man has to double-cross the machines and then be reincarnated as a god. That's the Illuminati dream. And that's what they really talk about at the highest levels, is how it's going to get down to just a few hundred of these people that are still alive and have merged with machines, and they're going to have some super battle with each other until the ultimate creature survives and becomes God. I mean, this is what Ray Kurzweil and all of them write about, and it's crazy. It is the ultimate selfishness, and I want to explain to everybody out there, they're doing it. They mean to try to complete this plan. And if you don't go research what I'm saying and find out it's true, you're nuts. You know, it's halfway driven me mad knowing all this information, but I've finally gone in, through, and beyond, and I'll go in, through, and beyond to the next level, but I've come in, through, and beyond to the next level of understanding, and I am at quasi-peace now. Because the knowledge of the enemy mind and of their plan is unbelievable. Let me tell you, when you really know this stuff for real, there ain't no going back. What does Neo get told by Morpheus in the Matrix? Morpheus says, someone cannot be told about the Matrix. You need to see it for yourself. Now listen, I'm not saying you're going to like this. All I'm offering is the truth. You take the blue pill, this ends, you go back to Wonderland. You take the red pill, and I'm going to take you down the real rabbit hole and show you how deep it goes. And by the way, I don't know how deep it goes. I'm far from being down the rat hole, very far. But I got to go down this rat hole to come out on the other side and find reality. And all I know is the people running the institution are the craziest amongst us. And here I am in a country with 3 children and my family, comfortable with tyranny. I mean, I still go to movies, I still go out to dinner, and I got to go to movies and go out to dinner. I've got to have some time off. I've got to try to get my head out of this sometimes because it's unhealthy to only be focused on this because you can't always be on the front lines of a war. And I don't blame anybody out there who's done nothing to fight this because it's so big, you ask yourself, what can you do? But we're at that key juncture right now where they've brought the dictatorship out in the open. They're trying to sell it like it's no big deal. We have entered the most important time in human development and human history. Hold on one second. Hey, I'm going to break in 4 minutes. I'll call you back, okay? Thanks. That's an emergency call. I've been calling about 5 times. Now, continuing, we have a decision to make. We know where we're going. Are we going to continue on that path? And all we have to do is morally say no, spiritually say no, remove ourselves from the equation in our minds, and our body will begin to make choices, and our minds will continue to make choices in everyday life that will begin to dig us out of this so that as the enemy mass projects its attack, we will build up to meet that attack, and then we'll be able to have a soft landing in this decadent cycle that we're entering the bottom of. We're entering the beginning of the end of a cycle. And if we make it through this cycle without blowing the earth up or killing everybody, humanity has really got some amazing things in front of us. And all that matters, if you really think about it, is not us individually. What matters is the group. Now, individualism is paramount and key, but that doesn't mean you're an individual and only care about yourself. It means you individually honor the individual, and we must fight this corporate globalist Borg, meaning that if we individually have to sacrifice ourselves for the whole of individuals, then we will do it. And in that understanding, in that decision, all the answers will flow forth from that, deciding which side we're on. And I know I get on the air now every day and just marvel that Obama is officially a dictator. By every historical benchmark, we've been in a depression for 5 years, a selective depression by every benchmark. We're in a health crisis by every benchmark. I was seeing numbers just the other day. Well, this morning I was doing research. I meant to send it to the guy so I'd have it, where certain types of brain tumors on the side of the brain where people use the cell phones are just off the chart. Multi-thousand percentage point increases. And the system knew that with rats back in the 70s in studies that are published. They deployed technologies that are so easy, so convenient, that we all love, that literally kill us. A soft kill weapon. And I mean, that's just one example of thousands of the type of mindset we're dealing with what is at the bottom of the rat hole. Death, pure evil, liquid hate. And the animating spirit of this world, the animating spirit of wickedness. And it really does come down to a fight between good and evil. And I've got to get to all this news. The big issue is that Congress is ceding Obama power and is acquiescing to him on every demand on paper and in reality. They are putting out some rhetoric that they are against it because of the massive backlash. They want you to think that they're doing something about it. Here is an article. I retweeted this up on InfoWars, the Twitter for Real Alex Jones. And it says, President Obama has his pen and his phone, and it's an image of Obama at his desk in the Oval Office, and the next to it is John Boehner saying, we have the Constitution. The problem is John Boehner is only doing that in symbol to make you think there's opposition. John Boehner, for whatever reason, hangs out with Obama constantly, plays golf with him, they're big buddies, and it's all a big sick joke to these two sycophants. that are two narcissistic punks. You can look at both of them. They're not even dark generals. They're not even demonic, high-level warriors of the New World Order. They are little frontmen, little preening metrosexual punks. Obama hates America, hates freedom, hates the family, and is purely turned over to evil. I don't think Boehner is completely evil, but he's definitely a little sellout. And literally, you read the comments, no one in here is going along with Boehner on his Twitter out of thousands of shares and comments. Everyone's saying, what's taking so long for you to do something? Appoint a special committee to investigate Benghazi already. Impeach Eric Holder for lying to Congress about Fast and Furious. And prosecute those responsible for using the IRS to harass American citizens. All the way up to and including those in the White House. Do it now. Stand up for America. With all due respect, sir, the Constitution is apparently only as good as your willingness to uphold it. Quit acting like you're going to do anything remotely close to following your oath of office. This is the comments. Fear nothing will happen, and John Boehner is an enabler. When you take action to stop this dictator, then I will start to believe you. When he is impeached, then I might start to trust you. Until then, it's all blah, blah, blah. That's what every person, I was reading, I can't find one person buying it, Boehner. We see you, you piece of trash. We see everything you do. And we're going to be here the entire time chronicling your crimes and letting everyone know who's behind the shutdown of this country and the world. And when we finally restore this republic, believe me, there's going to be a Nuremberg trial. And you know what happened. And again, folks, I like to run that at least once a week, that Darren McBreen piece we put together, because it just illustrates just a snapshot of where we are as a society. Now, here's the issue. I want to open the phones up for the entire next hour and cover a lot of news in between. For folks to call in on two subjects and two subjects only, first-time callers. I want to hear from you on A, what do you think we do about forcing Congress to stand up to the fact that the bureaucracy is turning the presidency into a dictatorship, officially? What are ways to challenge that through grand juries, the states lining up against them, having state referendums to say they're not going to follow dictatorial edicts? I mean, this is lawlessness now, even against the Congress. This isn't even a federal state issue now. But if the Congress won't do it, what do we do? We've had constitutional lawyers on about that subject. And also, why is everybody on edge? Why is everybody saying they feel like something bad's going to happen? Everybody I talk to, and I see people around the country, they say they feel the same thing. Is it the financial collapse? What is it that's coming? Is it war? China threatening to attack islands and invade and massing troops on the North Korean border? What do you think's coming up in this year of 2014? 800-259-9231. 800-259-9231. We're coming back in the second hour with a ton of news and your calls. Folks, I can feel it in my gut. And I know I keep saying this, but it's now completely permeating me, and everyone I know is having feelings of serious concern politically, economically, spiritually. And then you see the news reflecting that. And it's not even a feeling of fear. It's a feeling of we need to do something and take action. Obama, I can't believe this. It actually all happened. Is now a dictator. That does not mean he will stay in office. It means he is acting as a dictator. That just means dictating. He's got a pen. He's got a phone. And they're acting not on little side issues or military issues for particular missions, which you can use a continuing authorization of force in a larger region. You can kind of fudge it and get around it. This is blatant power grabbing. This is blatant across the board. And this is the Republican leadership talking out of both sides of their mouths, saying, oh, they don't like what's happening, but actually giving Obama the power because they're having their strings pulled from the same New World Order spider hole. Now, listen, I'm not looking for a revolution. I'm not looking for a shooting war against a bunch of police and military that don't even know what's going on. I'm not some big macho guy looking for trouble. I'm telling you, though, the way it's looking, there's one thing Obama can do to pull this off. And that's stage terror attacks and blame it on domestic enemies. And that's what they've been preparing people in the TVs, shows, the movies, the films, all of it. You see it. kid shows, cartoons, dramas, movies, and they admit that the government pressures Hollywood to put these messages in where the gun-owning Christian conservative is killing children, selling drugs, murdering people, blowing up the police department. None of that's really happening. There's one case with McVeigh, and that was completely staged on record. We know the names of the FBI and German intelligence agents and all of them that did it, and the witnesses and the cops that saw it, and I mean, everything. I got cop witnesses, the HUD witnesses, Jane Graham, all of it. I mean, you could convict them in front of a court, murder one, we know the names. Done. Boom. You'd have a month-long trial. They'd all go to the lethal injection. And that may happen someday if we end up taking it back and having the Nuremberg trials. And that's the issue. They've committed so many crimes now, they've got nothing to lose. They're armed. They're dangerous. They got nuclear weapons. They've got the COG. They got Northcom. They got CENTCOM. And let me tell you, CENTCOM and the Joint Chiefs said no to attacking Syria openly because of a military rebellion. Military-wide, we have good men and women in the military, even though a lot of the missions are corrupt and bad and misguided. I've never, been someone that just grovels to the military in my 18 years on air until the last 5 years or so when I got more sophisticated and learned more and learned that is the main group that's awake. And I figured that out because the globalists are targeting the military and saying they're the number one enemy, returning veterans and others because they know you're the ones that have the know-how to stand up against these people if they go on an offensive purge against Americans. And they know you're the opposition. They got your names, folks. They got your number. You're under NSA surveillance, and you know that. You're under criminal foreign bank surveillance by the occupied government. And I mean, we're here. We're like the French resistance, folks. This is it. Except we're not the French. But you can make fun of the French all day. They helped found this country. The French were infiltrated from within by the Vichy that stood down and let Hitler take over. And you've got constitutional lawyers across the board saying Obama is becoming a dictator. And you've got people of courage calling it like it is, like Ted Cruz, so we can do something about it. But we're going to come back and take your calls at 800-259-9231. First-time callers. What do we do about Obama becoming a dictator? Well, we admit it first. That's the first step, is admitting the problem. And then we need to brainstorm about the solution. And then also, do you have the same gut feeling I've got of Katie bar the door? I mean, my spidey sense is pegging the meter right now. Well, it's safe to say, my friends, I am dreading the next 3 years of the Obama nation. And it's not that Obama is behind it all or that it's even all his fault, even though he's a horrible enemy operative of the globalists to bring down this country. It's that Obama is the corporate face, the sales pitch for the final takedown of our republic into bureaucratic, corporate, executive-led dictatorship. And if you just joined us, we're going to get a lot of news coming up at the bottom of the hour on TSA pat-down at DIA leads to sex assault investigation. It's all sexual assault without probable cause, folks. You're not all under probable cause, under suspicion of terrorism. While the government itself has been hijacked by the people running al-Qaeda. Judge rules no-fly list is unconstitutional. That's up on Infowars.com. Rand Paul, Obama is a fox guarding the henhouse and overseeing NSA. What about the IRS investigation? Appointing Democratic Party operatives to whitewash it. I mean, look, impeach him now. Now. Hollywood movie mogul Weinstein to make anti-Second Amendment movie. That's up on Infowars.com. Drug smuggling DEA calls marijuana legalization reckless and irresponsible. Unbelievable. I mean, they run the major cocaine importation in this country. It all just got declassified a few days ago. Running Sinaloa, the dominant Mexican cartel, running it. And, of course, we told you that 4 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago. China mobilizes 100,000 troops in preparation for Korean Peninsula crisis. They're getting ready for a major war, threatening to invade islands off the coast of Philippines. I mean, this is just mega massive. Nigel Farage booms. We're going to play this clip later. Europe is now run by big banks, big business, and big bureaucracy. Vast stretches of impoverished Appalachia look like they've been through a war with 40% below the poverty line. America's police state worse than North Korea, writes Lou Rockwell blog, if you look at it in an aggregate. That's all coming up, ladies and gentlemen. That's on Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. And then continuing, China holding record U.S. debt. That's up on DrudgeReport.com via a Bloomberg article. China's Treasury holdings climbed a record in government data. China's holdings of U.S. Treasuries increased $12.2 billion to a record $1.317 trillion in November. Data released by the Treasury Department's website showed, if you believe any of that, it's probably far worse. The figures, scheduled for release at 9 a.m. tomorrow in Washington, were inadvertently posted on the Treasury's website. Japan's holdings rose to $12 billion to $1.186 trillion, the figure showed. China's swelling foreign exchange revenues reported today have reached a world record of $3.82 trillion at the end of December, may sustain the nation's appetite for U.S. debt. Capital inflows and intervention to limit gains in the yuan have continued and contributed to China's building up currency holdings that are the third of the global total. And the globalists have a deal with the Chi-Coms. Doesn't mean they run them, but they have a deal with them because they're an authoritarian, ultra-evil state to help deindustrialize the West, to bring in authoritarian rule here. In exchange, China is to be given large slices of global corporate holdings in Africa, in North America, Latin America, Asia, Europe, everywhere. But the globalists don't like any nation getting too powerful, so they build up all sides playing us off against each other. It's and again, that's not me saying that. Zbigniew Brzezinski's written a bunch of books on it. Carol Quigley's written a bunch of books on it. I've read them all. Literally tens of thousands of pages of these of them admitting their criminal activity and talking about how stupid the public is, and just it's sick. It's sick. It's sick. I want to explain that again before I go to your calls. We don't continue to tell you exactly what's going on because I'm some wonderful clairvoyant, ladies and gentlemen. I was told by government and corporate whistleblowers, because I started to get whistleblowers hand-delivering me stuff over a 3-year period, when I would do remotes at the car show, at the rodeo, you name it. And they'd come and say, listen, there's chips with capacitors built into the cable boxes, the phones. They can turn them on even when they're off and get data. They can listen to you. They can encrypt the data. They can send it back, your viewing habits, everything. I went on air and told people this, and I got death threats, okay? Again, I mentioned this yesterday. I got government contacting the radio station to get me thrown off. Thank God I already started my little syndicated show out of my house at the time. Okay, because, I mean, I was breaking stuff and had no idea how groundbreaking it was. I don't want the credit for this. The point is that broke 2 days ago in mainstream New York Times about the secret chips. But they titrated the dose out. And I'll go to your calls now after this point. How do you get somebody to be prepared to be a snake handler? You start taking small amounts of the poison and injecting it into yourself. You don't want to drink it because some people do that to do it, but it's not as effective. You need to have it go right into your blood, just like a Fangs did it. And then you build up the poison, build up the poison, build up the poison, build up the poison. Take more, building up your tolerance. But they're doing the reverse of that, like that bank executive once told me. They are just slowly in everything they do. You see the philosophy of the deception. It's very upsetting when you see New York Times, CNN, MSNBC with different tactics that you've seen it thousands of times before, and you know is a tactic, an admitted tactic, of, 100,000 people suspected of terrorism or criminal activity. They intercepted their computers in the mail, or they work with the manufacturers, and they put the chips in. So, no. That's because this is breaking. No. The Intel chips, folks, all the major chip makers. That's why you hear the communist Chinese can get into all of our weapon systems. It's because they're following global specs that the West told them to do. That's why the Pentagon then has waivers. Says it's okay if our fighter jets have chips with back doors in them, because they're all being made to have back doors. Because they're designed with back doors. They're designed with capacitors. They're designed with radio receivers and transmitters. I mean, does that tell you how organized this evil is? How widespread and total. It's globally agreed on by UNESCO and these global standardization boards. They have the very same green police in Perth that they have in Johannesburg, that they have in San Francisco. I don't care if you're in Australia, South Africa, or the United States. It's the same name, the same uniforms, the same programs. The CPS say the same thing when they come to your house to take your kids. It's all been globally formulated with a unified agenda on record. It's called Agenda 21. That's one major body of it. And it will revolutionize our lives into hell. It's a takeover. They're the revolutionaries. Now let's go to your calls. If you just joined us, we're going to go to Zach, Chris, Miles, TJ, James, and others. I've asked the question, what do we do about Obama now officially being a dictator and Congress doing nothing to stop him? The good news is, if you read Boehner's website and stuff, everybody's blowing up at him for criticizing Obama verbally while authorizing all this and giving him the backing. I mean, Obama could be impeached right now. This is a coup by the governing class against the Republic to try to give it to a dictator so they can blame it all on a Caesar. A lot of them told Caesar, go ahead and be dictator. We don't want the blame. We don't want to have to make the decisions. We don't want our constituents mad at us. We just want you. You do it. You, here. And that really means the bureaucracy that writes the bills and tells Congress what to do, the special interests, they're just saying, you know what? Let's just not even have that. Let's just turn it all over to Goldman Sachs and J.P. Morgan. Let's just give the whole thing to... So see, you're not even going to be able now to go give money to Congress to lobby against bad stuff. That's not going to even matter. They'll still take your money, but it's not... See, stuff's about to get real bad. Because as bad as lobbyists are and buying and selling Congress, at least there was some good interest in there that could battle. Not anymore. Not anymore. Not when all this gets cemented and precedent set. I mean, this is like opening the door on a submarine 1,000 feet under. This is not good. Okay, let's go to your calls. Let's go to Zach in Florida, former military, wants to give us their take on Obama. Go ahead. Thanks for holding.
No problem. Great show so far, Alex. And you hit the right question right on the head. What do we do? And I believe that the answer came to us last year when Rand Paul alluded to the fact that Obama was drunk on power. And literally what we're seeing is somebody drunk or like a drug addict on power. And what do you do in that situation if you're a loving family and you have somebody in that situation? You have an intervention. This person is literally in delusion. The entire administration, all the things that they've done, they are in delusion, like a drug addict, like an alcoholic. They need an intervention. America, this is an intervention. And I think he hit it right on the nose last year when he alluded to the fact that Obama was drunk on power. That's what it's like. It's like, could you imagine a drug addict or an alcoholic with unlimited money to get whatever they need? It would be a disaster, as we're seeing unfold today. It's terrible.
And, of course, Obama admits he's used cocaine and is a drunk and you know, smokes cigarettes in public, and the president shouldn't be doing that. I mean, he's obviously a hardcore substance abuser like Bill Clinton. And he's obviously on drugs. You can look at him. That's why he's so skinny. And I agree. And then you've got all these special interests that only care about themselves. They're going to, and they don't even have the full picture. I mean, we've had corruption before, but we at least had wise men in there that didn't want to blow the planet up. And I'm telling you, historically, you're right. These are the times, that's what the British defense minister is saying, where there's not even a congruent strategy. And where they think they're in full power, and they're not in full power. And that's the real danger, is they're in control of us that aren't doing anything. We're all being watched while the people in power aren't being watched. Do you see what I'm saying?
Exactly. They are drunk on power, and if you talk to any behavioral psychologist, the only real breakthrough for an addict or an alcoholic is what? It's to hit rock bottom. But as a country, as a nation, as a leader of the world, seemingly, we can't afford rock bottom. Rock bottom could be what? World War III? Could be what? Could be dictatorial power? Could be the shredding of the Constitution? We as a family, somebody who is a part of this country, tax-paying citizens, need to literally hold an intervention. Is that through filibusters? Is that through Rand Paul? Is that through voting with our dollars? Yes. But it's also realizing the fact, which you brought up in the beginning of the second hour, that we have to admit it. And they have to admit it. They have a problem, and it's time for us to fix it.
That's right. That's right. Well said. We'll be right back. Stay with our mad control freaks. Obama saying, I'm really good at killing people. I bet money he's never killed anybody with his bare hands. I bet money he's never killed anybody with a gun. I bet money that other than being a street thug, Obama has never experienced any real life being coddled by his rich Ford Foundation, Carnegie Endowment family. All CIA. I mean, this guy is a joke. And he talks about how he's real good at killing people. All the real people I know that have killed a bunch of people never talk about it. And even if they did it in an honorable way, have been messed up by it. And they sure don't brag about it, and they sure don't talk about it all the time. And again, this goes to what the last caller, it was a great caller, said. Even though they've got a cosmology and a framework of what they're doing to make them think they're in control, they're nuts. They're nuts. That's what every tyrannical regime finally goes completely insane. And that's all I'm saying to the FBI and the police and everybody else. I mean, you supposedly deal with criminals all day. Well, I mean, what is this government? What is the Attorney General on Benghazi, the guns, everything, the IRS persecution above the law, appointing Democratic Party operatives that meet with the president for 7 hours in secret to run things? I mean, this is an open criminal takeover by not just criminals that want money and power, really hateful criminals that have really bad intent, the worst type. I mean, I cannot come up with words to describe how bad these people are. And this is a short segment, long segment coming up. We're going to get to everybody. Let's talk to Miles, who's calling from Florida. Then we'll go to James, TJ, Kelly, Chris, everybody. Go ahead. You're on the air.
Hello, Alex. Great talking to you. I'm a first-time caller. I'm in South Florida. I'm actually a security guard. I'm ex-military. But I want to talk about what we should do right now to prepare for what's happening, because I believe what's going on is a war. And they are coming. Eventually, they are going to be at your doorstep. Everybody should know that. So you have to prepare physically, mentally for this war. Same thing you would do in a real war. Just train for it. You know, people, you got to eat healthier, turn their crap off, their TVs, shows. Don't watch them anymore. They're brainwashing your children. We're going to have to do our own entertainment. Get out, throw a football, have fun. Eat better. Like I said, stop drinking this water from the tap. That's for sure. I actually seen a bus that drove by my block, and it said, drink the tap water, with a little kid drinking out of a water fountain. I couldn't believe it.
Well, especially if you've been in the military, you know propaganda. You see how it's targeting everyone. And then it is hard to deal with. Wow, they add the bad type of fluoride to the water, and they know it's dumbing people down, and then they write books admitting it, and then you see stuff for little kids telling them take it.
Yeah, and I want to pull out my camera every time. Sometimes I do. I take pictures of it. And no one can see it. Everyone around here has no idea. But I think we need to start coming together locally and finding the people that are awake, fellow info warriors, and just go ahead and unite with them and just try to get healthier and get ready for what's coming, because it's definitely coming. And you're one of the best voices out here trying to...
Oh, no, brother. I'm nobody, brother. We're all in this together. I mean, we're all somebody, but individually, I'm really... nobody in the final equation. I'm just someone who historically researched things and was seeing the same patterns 20 years ago, so tried to do something about it, and then learned a lot. And I think the only testament for this show is that it shows what somebody with limited capacity like myself, compared to a lot of people, can do if you have the will and the spirit. And that's why we have to have heart. As this evil comes in and as things get worse and worse, there's a reason they want to shut us up. There's a reason they want to get rid of free speech. It's because when stuff gets really bad, if you're out in the bright blue, sky, big yellow sun, happy day, you light a candle on a hilltop, nobody sees it. I mean, if you're in the middle of a free country with everything going great, your personal light doesn't stand out. But when stuff gets dark, and it's getting dark, folks, people that stand up and tell the truth glow. You can see it from 5 miles away. And so we've all got to light our candles now, bring light to the world, but also have some extra candles and have a plan that as things get more and more serious, we respond, we speak out, we get involved. And they're not going to be able to round everybody up who speaks out. They're going to try to stage terror attacks, blame the Liberty Movement, intimidate everybody to turn against the Liberty Movement, say, I'm not part of that. Denounce this or we're taking you in for questioning. We're not denouncing it. There's evidence you're behind it. You stand to gain. Let's investigate you. You have a history of this. And show all the Democratic Party operative manuals where they say they need to stage terror attacks to blame it on the Liberty Movement. I mean, they've even said it in the Financial Times of London. Obama won't get his agenda through without a new Oklahoma City or 9/11. I mean, these people are obvious. Great call. Thank you so much, Miles, TJ, and Chris, and James, and Kelly, and everybody else. Your calls are coming. Just add for new listeners who just tuned in. We're talking about Obama officially being a dictator, Congress going along with it on everything from health care to open borders, to military operations, to shutting down our power plants, to carbon taxes, to guns. He says he may just start banning high-capacity mags with executive orders, banning their importation, banning their manufacture, banning the production of lead bullets. I mean, they're just saying they're coming, implementing the UN treaty. I mean, it's happening. And if everybody just starts going along with it, we're going to be cooked very quickly, or it's going to move into a civil war. And again, that's going to be precipitated by a staged terror attack. They had 3 different, a couple years ago, Democratic Party operatives. We should do another report on this. We played the clips here before and from the news and covered it, saying, man, we sure need a terror attack. And if there was one, we could really raise a lot of money and take over. And, well, you know, we think there needs to be one. And this was being sent around to billionaire donors that give millions. And, of course, that's come out in the news. Glenn Beck and others have covered it to their credit, even back when he was on Fox News. Remember this out of the Financial Times of London. Obama faces growing credibility crisis. This was from back in 2010, July 13th. And in it, it says, the bottom line here is that Americans don't believe in Obama's leadership, said Rob Shapiro, another former Clinton official and supporter of Obama. He has to find some way between now and November of demonstrating that he's a leader who can command confidence, and short of a new 9/11 Boston bombing, or a 9/11 event of Oklahoma City bombing, I can't think of how he could do that. And they also use the Trayvon Martin race baiting, race division, balkanization, divide and conquer program. And I mean, again, folks, when you're reading Brzezinski's books, and he's the guy pretty much running things today, he's the top dog, top technocrat, because he wrote the current plan they've been following since the mid-'70s, and his has been the most effective. They're all very similar, but they admit he's the top dog, along with Henry Kissinger, George Shultz, and others that are kind of fading off into history. Brzezinski's still hopping around demonically energized and sharp as a razor blade. And he speaks openly about how they've got a battle with free thinkers and liberty worldwide, and liberty's rising, and it's going to be cheaper just to kill us than propagandize us. Those are quotes. We must prepare to kill them all. We can no longer fund them or use propaganda to control them. I'm not really doing, I'm doing more of a Russian accent, not his Polish accent. But, I mean, this is the way these guys talk. And you even have, speaking of Polish folks, the first big Polish president, the big hero, Lech Wałęsa, if you pronounce it right, if I'm pronouncing it right, said we're now a tyranny in America. We are a tyranny, folks. We are the new Soviet Union. The EU is a new Soviet Union. They call themselves the new Soviet Union in some of their literature. They're not playing games. All right? And they're coming for us. And if we just say, no, we don't buy it, no, and reject it, we can beat them like we did on the gun grab last year and like we did on so many other issues. In the last 8 times they tried to gut our borders and have total open borders. Now Obama just said, well, I'll executively legalize everybody. They're just doing whatever they want now because they can't beat us. So what are we going to do about it? And then do you have the same feeling of dread that everybody I know is having? Okay, I'm going to race through calls now. TJ in Illinois, go ahead. You have the floor.
Good morning, Alex.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy. Want to go through something here with you and stuff. Just want to talk about what you're doing. You're the voice in the wilderness for all of us to hear. And we need someone. We need the voice against Obama, what he's doing. But what he's doing there and stuff and everything is like making himself a king in a sense. We're working against dark principalities. There's no doubt about that. You are, especially along with us. We're with you. And we're going to back you all the way on this. We're going to stick this out and everything because the fact is this man can be beaten. And don't think he can't. We got God on our side. And we know the future. He wins. No matter what the dark principalities, Satan, whatever they want to call him, I say he's Satan's man of the world. They say he's Islam. I say he's Satan's man of the world. And he is to me. And I know, with your voice, what you're saying, get these people on nascent iodine. We need to get some type of money bomb going where we get these other people, where we put money into nascent iodine to give it to them to wake them up like everybody else. They need this. You've created something here that's awesome. That's brought this out to people.
Well, I appreciate you. We're doing pretty good now funding-wise. If people continue to buy the books, the films, the T-shirts, the high-quality supplement products, we have at InfoWarsLife.com. I haven't plugged that yet today. I'm glad you reminded me to plug, some of the things that we fund our operation with. But, yeah, when you learn that they're giving you the bad fluoride to fill your thyroid and other glands instead of the good member of the halogen, the true nascent iodine, and you learn the federal government did the good thing in 22 and mandated it in salt, and then by the 60s had it pulled out, and that's even the type that isn't that good, but it's better than nothing. Regular chemical type bound iodine is certainly better than having the other fluorines in there. But yes, Survival Shield, InfoWarsLife.com. Thanks for plugging it. Briefly, you're endorsing it. I guess you got some. What did it do for you?
Oh, it woke me up completely. I feel like a new man. I feel like I'm 20 years old. I'm actually 50-something. So, I mean, sincerely, I just feel energetic. I feel like I'm wide awake to everything.
Everybody that sees me now, because I worked out really hard and did the longevity, Tangy Tangerine, all that. I still do that. It's great. That's InfoWarsHealth.com. But when I got on this iodine about 4 months ago, and I had to build up because I was taking the regular dose and it was making me detox. But after a month or so of that, now I take more. I'm not saying you should take more. Talk to your doctor, but I take more now. And, I mean, people can see it. I'm not even working out as much. In fact, a lot less because I'm working so much. I'm working out half as much as I was. Half as much. And I'm losing more weight now. And it certainly has helped me have more clarity. And, of course, that doctor group won't say that on air and others, but that's really what it does to the pineal and so much more is that real iodine. And we have the real Nascent iodine. It just does something. Well, you know what? Even if you buy it for $29, you supported the broadcast. Okay, but I'm telling you, take the iodine challenge, folks. Take it. Now, if you're really toxic, get ready. It took me about 2 weeks to start feeling, sick, kind of headachy, stomach burning a little bit. And then Dr. Group had warned me of that. After about 2 weeks of that, it went away, never came back. And I am literally, there's nothing like it. And, again, it's hiding in plain view. It's an absolute element that your body must have to live, and people don't have it. And the soils are played out, and then the regular iodine you get is better than nothing, but it doesn't go right in to your cells like this does. Other iodine turns black on paper. Do a test. This turns bright blue purple. Bright blue purple. It's lighter yellow. It's real iodine. But I'm done plugging that. I'm going to go to other callers. God bless you. I appreciate your call. InfoWarsLife.com. And the people are just, I'm not telling people to call in and plug the iodine. In fact, people should probably stop it. Okay? Because it sounds too good to be true. I'm not going to make any promises or claims. Just try it and then email me, tell me what you thought. I mean, you can call if you want, but I don't want to turn it into the iodine show. Again, I was trying to protect myself and my family. I started taking this. I got warned about how it made me feel sick. Within a week to a month, it made me sick in 2 weeks. It happened. Everything Dr. Grip said. All this stuff came out of my skin. I don't want to be gross about it. I never really had oily skin. I had all this, whiteheads. Everything just pour out of me. And it's just, I don't know what it does. That's all I can tell you. And now my skin is just clean. I mean, it's just, man, I tell you. But again, responsible use, ladies and gentlemen. Love it. Let's go ahead and talk to James in Rhode Island. James, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Good afternoon. I was just thinking that with the Obama administration and Congress pushing on every front, they're getting away with treason every day. I just think that soon there will be the shot heard around the world. Up here in Rhode Island, we have a Democratic candidate for governor who's going to leave it up the sole discretion to the cities and towns for an assault weapons ban to ban whatever they want without state approval.
Which is totally illegal.
It is, and we're going to lose. My wife and I are going to lose our jobs due to a Department of Health regulation for healthcare providers if we don't submit to a flu shot. And you're talking about poison. When do we stop submitting?
I don't know when we quit submitting. I mean, we need to be, defensive, never offensive in physical confrontations. But when police walk over and you're filming the local water treatment plant with a flag on your microphone, you're clearly a news crew or a citizen or whoever, it's not, we're going to claim you're a terrorist anymore. It's just we say you can't film. Well, there's no law. I know, but we were ordered to do this. I mean, it's kind of like when the city of Austin police got ordered to not let a street crew I hired during South by Southwest last year to hand out 10,000 magazines downtown. And the police came up and started giving them tickets. They were ordered by the health department that's over signage to say that you can't. They used a hot dog stand regulation about how you had to have authorization, a permit to have like a hot dog stand. And they tried to apply that to people walking around handing out literature. And then the police said, okay, you're right. The statute didn't say that. Just keep moving. And then we pointed out, well, all these other bar owners are out, have people that aren't moving. And the cops said, look, we listened to the show. I ended up getting on the phone because I wasn't there. They called me. I got on the phone with the cop. He goes, listen, I like the show and everything. I don't like this. I've been ordered to do this. And take it up with the police department. So I flipped out, drove back from vacation. And then the police refused to give tickets at that point. And then the health department, city zoning department technically, but it was under health, they were claiming, came out and started threatening to give tickets. And then I got on the phone with that guy as I was driving back from Galveston. Everybody saw this unfold, and I ended up calling into the show and doing YouTube videos about it, and then shooting video downtown of it. And we caught video and photos of the cops doing this. And I got on the phone, and the guy's like, I'm a listener. I don't want to get in trouble. Listen, I know it's bull, but they're going to, fire me if I got to do this. And I said, listen, you're not going to get fired. Tell them no, and if they try to fire you, got a major lawsuit. And he went and told them no, and they backed off. I mean, you've got to say no to unlawful orders, folks. And it's the same thing with all of this stuff. Saying yes has got us into this position. And so when they do things that are unconstitutional, if a city bans guns like Chicago and it violates state and federal law, people should be able to openly carry there like Adam Kokesh did in D.C. That's been overthrown for 5 years. He racked a shotgun on Pennsylvania Avenue, and they came and arrested him and threw the book at him. And people can say, well, he's crazy, he's bad. He's like Rosa Parks sitting at the front of the bus instead of the back of the bus. At a certain point, you've got to say no. Go ahead, James. Anything else?
We saw 3 constitutional lawyers, the union reps. They've all shrugged their shoulders and refused our case against the Department of Health. And I can't wait for my Mason Iodine to come in this week.
Well, thank you, brother. God bless you, and I appreciate your support. We couldn't do it without the listeners buying the fine products at InfoWarsLife.com and InfoWarsStore.com. I just got handed another piece of news, and I told you this was coming. She noticed when they make everything digital, they make it open to hacking, and then they have to bring in systems to mitigate it that are actually run by the government and corporations. It turns out the NSA launched Stuxnet. They launched most of the major malware and viruses. That's now been confirmed this year or last year. And look at this. This is a report here that just went up minutes ago. Breaking for the first time, we'll put it on screen, hackers have used a refrigerator to attack businesses. Security researchers at the Proofpoint have uncovered the very first wide-scale hack that involves television sets and at least one refrigerator. Yes, a refrigerator. And they're able to wirelessly come through your internet and take it over because they're now computer surveilling you. And because that door is there, Business Insider reports, because the door has been put there by the NSA and corporations, anyone else can come through it. And they intend to allow you to be attacked, and then they'll come, problem, reaction, solution, with their solution of web ID, web control, web taxes to, quote, protect you. Let's go ahead and talk to Chris in Michigan. Thanks for holding. Thanks for calling. You're on the air, sir.
Hey, Alex, great to talk to you, buddy.
Thank you.
All right. First of all, yes, feelings of dread. I've been having feelings of dread ever since late last year when Obama tried to nuke us with his missing nukes or collared for EMP and whistleblown by Jim Garrett. I think people need to emphasize on this, and we need to remember when Lindsey Graham came out and said, the Iranians may nuke us because they see our weakness to attack Syria. Well, that should have been the drop of the hat. The gauntlet. Right there.
Well, absolutely.
They tried to nuke us.
Well, you know what we do know, sir? And I'm actually going to pull the article up right now because I forgot to cover this. I was sent this last night by Chris Jordan, and I should have given this to Gucciardi this morning to do an article because he's the one that's been reporting on it. This was in Fox News. In fact, why don't you guys document cam this, and I'll show it on my NSA Imperial Probe Droid tracker Sentry that I call an iPhone that radiates my brain and my family. Air Force, 34 nuclear missile officers implicated in cheating scandal. And so now this is breaking and got almost no news today. In fact, I got up at 5 a.m. and Jordan, I guess you were up early, and this popped in to me at 5 a.m. I guess that's why I forgot it because I was half awake. And I sent it to Gucciardi. We should do our own article giving you the rest of the story, tying it in. Now they're firing 34 nuclear missile officers. This is a coup of the nuclear forces of the United States. Because if you wanted a coup over the world, you would seize control of these. And I had just forgotten that. Look, you get Gucciardi in here. I know I've got him. He's been doing reporting for us and coming in a few days a week as a consultant. And he's just been helping me on so many fronts with the redesign of Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com with the rest of our team. And we're ready, pretty much ready with both the sites with new designs. We've just been so busy with everything else, we haven't finished it all. But we're going to be launching the next 2 weeks. Probably by next week, Prison Planet will be beta tested with one new design. We've got an even more powerful design for Infowars. We'll be ready in about, it's pretty much ready now, but we're having to get the servers ready and the reconfigs. Got a lot of new things in it. We've got to prepare it for hack attacks and stuff like that that's ongoing. We've got a great team all around, but I appreciate your call, Chris. Really good point you raised, and I'm glad. That's why I like to take calls, because some calls are good, some calls are bad. Today they've all been amazing because I put out a topic, and we got a lot of great listeners out there, but he reminded me of the next phase of the Dyess Air Force Base missing warheads. Is he on the other side of the building? Okay, good. So he did get my text. I sent him at 5 a.m. I thought he'd missed it. I thought he'd say something to me when he came in, because he only comes in a few days a week as a consultant. He also has his website, storyleak.com. If you want to check that out, Infowars.com, PrisonPlanet.com, PrisonPlanet.tv is the nightly news site. We'll be right back with Kelly and David and others. 30-plus top nuke commanders now fired on top of the last 5 top commanders. The top, the number 1, the number 2. What was it? The number 4, the number 6 from memory. I know it was the number 1 and number 2. And then a couple of head guys under them. Top general, top admiral. The total head of all the nukes was fired. And it was very suspicious. They told AP to keep it secret. And then the Obama administration made stuff up. This is definitely a purge now. And again, we're not being melodramatic here. This is all really happening. The dictatorship, the gear up for war with China, the preparations for financial collapse, other countries getting geared up. You guys print me a copy of that, thanks. Air Force, 34 nuclear missile officers implicated in cheating scandal. I mean, this is just getting ridiculous. 34 nuclear missile launch officers. See, they're getting rid of the people that would launch the missiles, have been implicated in a cheating scandal and have been stripped of their certification, and 3 officers have been implicated in a drug probe and what the Air Force believes is the largest such breach of integrity of the nuclear force. Air Force Secretary Deborah Lee James said Wednesday. The officers apparently texted to each other the answers to a monthly test on their knowledge of how to operate the missiles. The number includes who did the cheating, as well as those who may have known about it and did not report it. And again, there's always technicalities. This is not about readiness, ladies and gentlemen. They keep using little nitpicky stuff here to purge the top people right down to the bottom. This is going on. This is a cover for a purge, and it fits into what the military's been leaking, top generals, retired and current, that there's a purge going on years ago. We first told you about it. This is a big deal. They're purging anybody that's a Christian, basically, and is open about it. They're purging anybody that is against turning in the guns. They're telling people at Fort Hood that the founding fathers are bad. I mean, this is crazy. Obviously, we have evil people that have hijacked the government when they're bad-mouthing the founders. I mean, if you don't like it, just get out of the country. If you don't like, every other country's had all their guns taken and has been made socialist. Can't we be different? We're the last holdouts of just a few countries like Switzerland. And Switzerland's getting taken down too now. And notice the places that have free market, the places that have guns, had the highest standards of living. And now we're getting rid of the liberty. We're losing our standard of living. We're going to go to break, come back, and go to Kelly. Let's just go to Kelly right now. Kelly in California, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Alex.
Hey.
I absolutely, I literally love you. I'm so happy what you're doing for everybody. And the reason why I wanted to call from California is specifically, you were talking to Kari Jackson yesterday, when he was down in San Diego. I work down there sometimes. I do some security work down there. And, you guys were talking about how the trendies and the Justin Biebers. And yeah, you're right. California is a lot like that. This is a democratic state, dictator scum worshipers. But there are smart people out here, and there are people that are awake. And I just First of all, I wanted to give you props, man. I drove cross country by myself between 2012 and 2013. I went to Waco, Texas, Ranch Road. I saw what you did. I'm stoked that you actually invested in helping rebuild, the church over there. And I'm not a Davidian or anything, but I am a Christian. And my main thing that I wanted to call about was, as far as the nascent iodine, I'm going to get some. I know that you guys are sold out or whatever.
We're not sold out anymore. We just got more. Hold on. I'm going to go to break, come back to you. But we can't just talk about the iodine. We're talking about Obama. All right. If you just joined us, I threw out the question an hour ago on air. Obama now is officially a dictator. I mean, all the constitutional lawyers are saying that. Doesn't mean he's dictator for life. Just means he's turned that office into a dictatorship with a little help from his globalist friends and the Republican leadership that won't block him. But the Tea Party's been trying to block him, so the system's demonizing them. And then I went on to ask her, are you having the feeling of dread that everybody I know is having? And just of angst and anxiety? I mean, I've never, even though I faced down a lot of tyranny, I've never been like this. I may have it for a few days before something really bad happens. That's how I've learned to worry about it. Or I'll have a bad feeling right before something bad happens, growing up. Literally, like, I got a bad feeling. And then, some guy walks around a corner and starts a fight with me. Everybody's picking up on this, or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you're not picking up on it, but the callers have said they are picking up on it. Kelly, though, you had a question about Survival Shield nascent iodine. Go ahead.
Yeah, my main concern is I'm probably only maybe 15 minutes away. I mean, I'm near the 405, so there's traffic all the time. But as far as the nascent iodine, yes, I'm going to get it. I understand there's going to be detox. I understand all that. But my problem is because of what's happening with Fukushima and what's happening at our coast here. I know maybe they're lower rated, like where I am. They're Newport Beach, Huntington Beach. They're not as high as they are up in Washington and up in Monterey, where a lot of the testing has been going on. But my question is, in a nuclear fallout, when the government bought 14 million doses of potassium iodide. Now, should I be concerned about doing that? Should I be concerned about...
Well, ma'am, I want to be completely clear. We've had medical doctors on. We've had naturopaths on. We've had nutritionists on. We've had chemists on. We've had people on, like pharmacist Ben Fuchs. There's a compounding pharmacist. And they say, go to your physician, A, because of liability, but B, you're going to have issues that, that a physician or your healthcare provider is going to understand better. So I cannot sit here. Number one, I'm not a doctor. Number two, I don't know your situation. We sell the standard government type that the government's buying and it's government recommended. We sell that at InfoWarsStore.com and at InfoWarsLife.com. And if a reactor blows up, I'd probably take some of that on top of it. That's for heavy radiation. But this stuff, from my experience, other people's experience, makes them feel sick. It's got some toxic attributes to it long term because it's bound. And I'm not knocking ThyroSafe that the government just bought, 14 million dosages of. I mean, it's certainly high-powered, a lot more high-powered than the nascent iodine. And again, I'm not knocking competitors. It's just a fact. Regular nascent iodine is really like Lugel's iodine, and from what we've done in research, we don't even think it's really nascent iodine. I mean, it tastes absolutely terrible. I would drink it in water. Kids really can't drink it. It's better than nothing, and I think it's better than ThyroSafe, to use on a regular basis. So you make those decisions yourself. This is the purest, cleanest form of iodine that we could find that's truly nascent at an atomic level. And we kept selling out of this because the little place that has the patent and stuff on this particular process with they couldn't produce enough for us until they scaled up. And so we went out and tried to find other places to get so-called nascent iodine. And we just did some testing and stuff and just, didn't feel comfortable selling it, to be quite frank with you. We found a few other nascent iodine varieties out there that we think are good that we're trying to secure as well that aren't as good as this, maybe better health-wise. I don't know. I'm just selling the best thing I could find, and that's Survival Shield at InfoWarsLife.com, nascent iodine dietary supplement. And, the fact is, most people don't have this in their body now. So when you take it, you're going to immediately feel it. At least everybody else I know has. And so it's a lot bigger than just the radiation issue. This stuff goes right into your blood, right into your cells. The other iodine has to break down in the stomach. We'll be right back. Stay with us. More calls straight ahead and tons of news. That's why I always say, I'm Alex Jones going out to break, but it always sounds like I'm an egomaniac every segment. Hello, I'm Alex Jones. Hello, I'm Alex Jones. We're going out to break now. But I guess it's good overall for folks to know your name so they know what brand of information you're listening to. And our goal is to bring you the truth. Now, that's something that's hard to get at sometimes, but you've got my absolute 110% pledge that I stay up at night and I wake up early and I roll around in bed now. And I used to sleep like a dead pharaoh. You couldn't wake me up with jackhammers and gunshots going off. Now, that's not the case because of the responsibility I've got to try to absolutely get it right. And because of the incredible quickening that we're seeing unfold right now. Now, here is some of the articles that are up on Infowars.com that are breaking right now. Washington State moves to block NSA surveillance. That's some good news. That's a big deal. And this is really happening. I didn't want to talk about this now, but Mikhail Thalen was writing about it. And it's happened so many times. He's actually the source of some of these documents. Watson gets it out before we can even get it out when one hand doesn't know what the other hand's doing. Days ago, we got contacted by 6 state senators and legislators in Washington, and we were working on that bigger report to talk about what they're up to. And then Watson became aware of the fact that they already started talking about it. So I'm not bragging. I'm telling you, Mikhail Thalen got the secret documents from a city employee in Seattle. I'll leave it at that. And then a lot of the documents were later found online, the public portions, not the restricted portions, about how the police with an NSA grant had all these snooping hubs grabbing all your cellular data wirelessly, their own wireless hubs, so they wouldn't even have to pay the telecoms for the data. Because normally they just pay for a co-located computer that just grabs all your data right there. That's on record. Now they're putting up their own systems that double as police high-def internet video connectivity, which would be fine for communications and stuff. But the point is they're using it to steal everybody's data. It's a felony every time they did it. 2 days after our story broke and DrudgeReport.com carried it. And I don't try to just plug DrudgeReport.com, DrudgeReport.com, DrudgeReport.com. I mean, I just got to give people credit because most of these stories we put out that end up actually breaking through and actually changing laws and breaking major stories is because Drudge is linking to them. Now, Drudge has linked to us so much over the years, and our listeners have supported us, and we had a lot of stories that would end up breaking nationally without Drudge. But, I mean, I'd say it's up by a factor of 10-fold because Drudge links to so many of our stories. And then it just continues to be proven accurate and change history. So there you go. Round of applause for Matt Drudge, Joe Curl, and the whole crew over there at DrudgeReport.com. I mean, look at Drudge attacking the NSA tyranny right now. I mean, it's just, the guy's an absolute libertarian with giant huevos because, believe me, just like Ted Cruz and Rand Paul and myself, this is dangerous, boys and girls. I mean, I get followed home. I get death threats. I don't even tell people some of the stuff that goes on. That really has caused a lot of problems in my family. I'll just leave it at that. Okay? And I'm not going to sit there and do the enemy's job for them. And I'm not going to even talk about it. But believe me, they're not happy. And I know other people are getting messed with as well. And you look at Bongino, the head Secret Service agent on Foreign Details. House getting broken into, office getting broken into, trash getting dug through, threats. Hey, how you doing, Bongino? How you kids doing? And I mean, it's just like, if you haven't experienced this, you don't know what it's like. And I haven't even been told that about Drudge. I'll just guarantee you he's getting, I bet you $1 million because I know anybody that gets that prominent fighting these people, they come after you. You get audited. It just never ends. People say, well, I better not do anything or I better not say anything. We got into this position because people were cowards. Do you understand that? A free people, a free men that are men and aren't cowards and who instinctively stand up against thugs and bullies, you're going to have a free society. You're going to have a dynamic society. When men start thinking being a man is just watching football all day. Last night, I was hearing a guy in the gym talking about bragging in front of some women on his cell phone going, Dad, I can't. I'm a lawyer. That's what he's bragging in front of women. I'm a top lawyer. And yeah, Dad, well, I can't get married this right now or next year during the playoffs when you want to do it because, the playoffs are them and there's games. I mean, these men think that literally worshiping football is manly. How about worshiping liberty and the God that gives us the liberty? Where is the Spirit of the Lord, there is liberty. Where there is not, there is tyranny. What Bible verse is that? And you can say, well, that's the Bible, I don't want to read it. Hey, even if it's just a book, as some people say, I want to follow that. I've read that. That makes sense. That's what I want. I want liberty. And I want to be lifted up like a standard against the enemy. When the enemy comes in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord will lift up a standard against it. Where the Lord is the Spirit, and wherever the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. It's that 2 Corinthians 3:17. Oh, my goodness. I mean, just look at the news that's breaking on Infowars.com right now. Washington State moves to block NSA surveillance. I just hit refresh and saw that Gucciardi had already written an article, as he came and told me earlier it was about to go up, and that Watson had just posted one. And then I was in debates last night about when we were going to break this, and we were going to have the state senators on. But they contacted us and said, no, we need all the documents, and we need to talk to you, and you know, we may need you to come testify, and we want to know who your sources are, but we'll give them, you know, protection. No, do not, and I do not give them the sources. We're not giving the state senators sources. Not that we don't trust them, but because they're under surveillance like no one else. State government is surveilled up one side and down the other. And again, we're not going to let them persecute the people that hand-delivered this to us. I'll just leave it at that. But, you know, we're breaking major leaks now every week, ladies and gentlemen. Washington State moves to block NSA. Bill would cut electricity and water to physical NSA locations. Gotta love it. That's Matt Shea. Hey, I've had Matt on. Wasn't that the state rep that found the FEMA camp and then confirmed it was a secret FEMA facility, prison? Yeah, I think we've had Shea on. Again, our listeners, ladies and gentlemen. See, I mean, I'm so busy in battles, I just have a battle and move on and don't even remember the last battle. And that's not good, because we need to show people the effectiveness of our fight against tyrants and the effectiveness of you praying out there as well. Unbelievable. And then there's the even bigger story. Nuke commander purge, another 34 missile launch officers terminated by Air Force. And Gucciardi has that up, tying it all in. 34 more on top of 5 or 6 top ones. He'll have it in his article. I'm going from memory. And he just got a quick one up there. He's updating it right now. So get that article out to everyone you know. Fox News, again, reported it early this morning when I just woke up and was sitting there in bed saying, should I go back to sleep? And Jordan hit me with a 5:14 text. I guess he was up. You couldn't sleep either, huh? And there it is. So we've got our article that gives you the background because, again, the Fox one's a good article. It just doesn't give you the rest of the people being fired. It tells you in a vacuum, not connecting it to the other dots of what's going on, and then the missing nuclear weapons. And by the way, folks, you notice they never said we were wrong. They never countered me and said I was a liar in the media. I mean, if I was lying about sources at the base saying that they dug up nukes that weren't supposed to be there was a big telling the civilian police that run the base that they couldn't bring the nukes off. The head commander had to come out and say, here's the order, it's from the president, move the nukes to the East Coast. Because there weren't supposed to be nukes there. And, you know, if I was lying about that, I should be arrested because I'm yelling fire in a theater. I am putting out a fraudulent story to do something like that. Well, I'm not. But if I was putting out a fraudulent story, I would be doing that, and I should be arrested. But you notice I haven't been. There's been nothing. Because it's true, folks. It's all true, okay? It's all true. 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 And I don't know what it means, and I don't like it, and I want it to stop, and I don't have all the answers, and I can't get it all done. Do you understand that? The stupid Congress needs to do something right now instead of handing Obama dictatorial power while he's purging the entire military. Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, top generals, heads of CENTCOM, on and on and on. Before all this nuke purging, there are huge purges going on, and historically, man, this is bad. And I'm 40 years old next month. I feel young, I also feel old. I'm a boy and I'm a man. I'm 18. and I like it, love it. The point is I'm not 18 anymore, but I feel like I'm 18. And I don't want this responsibility. I don't like it. People say, well, what's this mean? Well, what's that mean? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Missing nuclear weapons. I don't know. Purging the military. I don't know. They're giving Obama dictatorial power. They're starting war with China. China's threatening to attack us. I don't know. They devalue the dollar. They're attacking the family. They're attacking the founding fathers. They're attacking Christians in the military. I mean, this is getting crazy. And we got Jakari Jackson, the rest of the crew in studio. You'll hear from Glenn Trolls, who's never been on air with us before, and one of our new cameramen who went out there to California. He's from there. He's got his radiation blood test. Now, wait till you see this. On the East Coast, West Coast radiation investigation. I'm thinking about an East Coast radiation investigation. That's why that just slipped out, because they've picked up higher levels there in the air. But Glenn, coming up, actually has his physical test, and he lived out in that area of California until just about, I guess, a year ago or so. And he's got his radiation test. This is going to be interesting. They got people catching fish out there. Have we put that video up yet, Jakari?
I think the guys are getting it ready right now.
Okay, good. So that'll premiere on the Nightly News tonight. Yes. Radioactive fish caught, radioactive fish caught off coast of California. We only got a short segment, so give me your final recap. I know there'll be more on the news tonight about the investigation of the ongoing radiation waves. Then we'll talk to the other guys, then go back to calls and the other news I haven't covered.
Yes, Alex, we went out there. We went as far north as Portland, Oregon, ended in San Diego, California. The highest levels of radiation we encountered were at Half Moon Bay, the place where the citizen journalist went out there and shot the viral YouTube video. We found radiation levels in excess of 10 times of what's considered normal for that area. We also talked to some of the local residents out there. A lady told us that one of her friends is going bald from swimming in the water. We got other people who tell us that they're not going to allow their kids to swim out there. But, you know, at the same time, Alex, there are people who may not be aware of these things because, as Don pointed out in his article, there are no warning signs telling people of these high radiation levels. So while we were out there shooting the show, there are people out there walking their dogs and blissfully unaware of these situations. So, of course, we told them about this, and hopefully they'll make the right decisions to stop going to that area, or at least get some signage out there warning people about these radiation.
And again, the only other media other than Infowars.com to cover this was a couple newspapers, and now Discovery Channel making jokes about conspiracy theorists worrying about it. So mainstream media made jokes. Infowars.com's covered it, Drudge linked to it. But, I mean, you'd think this would be bigger news.
You think it would. And like you pointed out before, if this was 30 years ago, this would be a national news story. But now all you hear about is baseball and pop culture and all these other things that don't really matter. You know, that nobody wants to talk about these real issues. I mean, can we at least get some signage out there to warn people so they can make the decisions for themselves if they want to go out to this radioactive spot?
Well said. Anything else, Jakari?
No, that's it. I'm just glad to, thankful to all the viewers and you to send us out there, all the great people we met out there, the people we met yesterday.
That is so exciting that you said everywhere you went, listeners would walk up. I mean, we've got huge listenership. Yeah, we would be shooting the show, you know, setting up the shot, and some guy would come and stand by. And I thought maybe he has to walk by. He's like, no, I'm a listener. I'm here to check out the show. I said, oh, well, come on in. You know, it's great to meet people out there. So what's it like to have folks, you've been here a year now, and people know you from California? It's a little surreal, you know. People are like, are you Jakari Jack? And I'm like, yeah, I'm, you know, standing there at the microphone. Well, I mean, again, I only point that out not in some narcissistic way. Hey, people know who we are. We're having an effect. That's what I take it as. We're having an effect. And, you know, the people we talked to yesterday, the fishermen we talked to when we were a little farther north, they were just thankful that we would come out there and cover these things because, like you said, Alex, it's really no place else where you can get this information. Absolutely. Don Salazar, your take on things.
It was pretty interesting to be out there. I saw just 3 days ago, the Los Angeles Times published the California Health Department statement saying Fukushima, nobody on the West Coast should fear Fukushima radiation. And I'm not sure how they came to that conclusion. Never fear. Big government's here. Underdog. I mean, they said the radiation.
Like that, pretty much.
They said the radioactive plume should be here by 2014. And I think it should only be the start, but it's kind of a preemptive to say that nobody on the West Coast should fear Fukushima radiation. It's kind of weird that they're already coming up with the whitewash story for it. You know, it's similar to the Nazi propaganda as the Russians pushed them back in Barbarossa and were invading Germany, and they were losing every battle, and they had news. We're winning. Everything's great. Remember Baghdad Bob? Whenever the planes are bombing a mile behind him, he's like, we have pushed the pigs back, defeated, out of Iraq completely.
it was pretty much like that. Like we said in our last report, we were going through California, we were listening to the radio, and nothing about this radiation. Sometimes you heard some reports about Kelly Thomas, the man who unfortunately lost his life at the hands of the police. That verdict came out while we were out there. But other than that, it was just sports and crap and things that don't matter at all.
Yeah, it really touched my heart to see the response we got from people that saw us investigating. Like, they were really concerned. You could tell they were scared because, there was no signs there. And it definitely is way above what the normal CPM should be.
And people were really concerned when they saw us out there, with our Geiger counter. People walk up to us who weren't even fans or listeners. They're like, hey, what are you guys doing out here? And we'd tell them, we're out here checking for this radiation. The top scientists, the top experts say a plume of Fukushima radiation will hit the United States. And then we'd tell them about all the anomalies, what we found at Surface Beach, about the starfish, about the conjoined whales, about the sardines. And we're like, people were really receptive to this for the most part when we went to San Diego.
Hey, but wait a minute. The dust is safe, though, at the World Trade Center.
Yeah.
I want to come back a few more minutes with you and then that medical report. Other points that we need to talk about here.
The radioactive fish was definitely an interesting thing going up and down the coast. The people who were very receptive. But in San Francisco,
they should be thankful. Radiation's good.
Yeah, pretty much in San Francisco, they were thankful. They're like, yeah, I don't care if it's radioactive. I don't care if the NSA is watching me or whatever else. It keeps me safe.
Yeah, it was really disturbing to see that guy in San Francisco just totally take it as a joke, Everybody else we talked to was really concerned about the radiation.
The planet I come from is more radioactive. We're doing this to make your planet more palatable for our colonization program.
Yeah, it's pretty much like, what is it, Man of Steel? They're changing the planet to make it more habitable.
Send in the world engine.
Yeah. Those guys were all about it.
I have never liked a Superman movie. I thought they were cheesy when I was a kid because it was just a guy in tights, but that one was good.
Yeah, it's really good. Had a good story on it.
Yeah, it had a good message.
Mm-hmm.
I've talked to a lot of top Hollywood folks, and they say they know pro-human, anti-eugenics, pro-liberty messages are what sells. So they're having to buck the guys above them because the tyranny messages are no longer selling.
That's why you got Duck Dynasty record levels.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the Bible and all the rest of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, see, we could end up conquering Hollywood. People don't get the fact that we could win.
Yeah.
I mean, freedom is really popular.
Yeah.
It could be legalized again. All right, now going back to Marvin the Martian meets Underdog.
Adon Salazar, final comments.
It just really touched my heart to see that people were so concerned with the radiation out there, and it felt like we were doing God's work, going and helping people, realize that this part of the beach is really, really unsafe, and they were really thankful that we were there, and it really touched my heart. It felt like...
Well, no, exactly. Nothing feels better than really helping people.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
That's what it's all about. They help us by promoting our products and all that, just like that guy the other day who had that great T-shirt on. They help us, we help them, and the cycle is complete.
The circle is now complete. When I met Jakani Jackson, I was just the learner. I have to actually get into character to be able to do James Earl Jones. Hold on, I'm going to try. I'm going to do it. This is CNN. Closed captioning provided by Bell Atlantic, the heart of closed caption communication. Now, see, if I actually do that a few times, I can. They actually hired me once in a major theater chain nationwide to do a Star Wars ad because they wanted to charge them too much to have their own ad for their theaters. Mm-hmm. And I did the ad. I forget the theater chain. It'll pop in my head in a minute. It was like, and then February 21st, the Star Wars trilogy, like you've never seen it. Pretty good, huh?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Anyways, I'll do another one.
Okay.
I'll do. I should start doing voices. Here's what happens psychologically. I do such a serious show. I start worrying about 34 more nuke commanders fired. I have a huge anxiety attack. I mean, not like where I can't breathe, but in my mind. And then I start screwing around. I have figured out what I do. I have figured it out. We're talking about serious subjects, and after 2.5 hours of it, if I start joking once, it's over, Jakari.
Yeah, that happens every now and then.
Do you like me, the joking Alex, better, or the one that gets angry?
If we can find a middle ground,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. I was just going to say about the James Earl Jones. I was taking a look at the Weinstein article, the Weinstein, how they're going to start making these anti-gun movies. And then I'll try to contrast that looking at celebrities who do love their gun rights, and James Earl Jones was one of them.
We'll get him on.
Yeah. And you guys can...
Whoever gets James Earl Jones on my show, I had to put a bounty out to get a Obama phone lady.
I know.
$5,000 bounty for James Earl Jones.
I'll take it.
$5,000. Hey, Bound got her, and he had to split the bounty with a guy that saw her in a Walmart, or was it a Target? What'd you get, Bound? It was a $5,000, but you had to split it. Oh, and I just still gave them the bounty too. Or were you just on air? Every time you talk to me, it's on air. I'm not mad, but see, this is what I mean. I want to get the guys on the show. The mic is now bypassed. I mean, this is like a horse, my kingdom for a horse. They will never, if hell froze over, have a microphone for them in there. We're building a whole studio for you guys out here in the new control room just so you can be on air. Guaranteed it'll never be on air. See what I mean?
We'll have to run into the studio. Well, that's okay.
That's right. It's exactly. Watch. A week from now, I'll say, talk to me. It's not going to be hooked up.
I have faith in the crew, Alex.
No, I love the crew. But if I say I really want, okay, I don't want a microphone hooked up in there. Is that understood? And when you talk to me on air, I want it to be only to me where people can't hear it, okay? The maximum order that you are never to be on air and that mic is not to be hooked up. Is that clear? Okay, good. Now they're running to hook up a mic.
Can we put
anyways,
on?
Anyways.
You want me on this mic? Is that what?
Yes, that's what
hey, come on in here. Come on, finish the point. Did you get the bounty?
Yeah, I got the 5 Gs. Yeah, I got it. But it was tough.
And see, I overkept my word, and then I gave the other folks that found her a bounty.
Right. Yeah, you paid out like $7 grand. Something like that.
Yeah, but, and I'm saying $5,000 for James Earl Jones. But I can't pay the person that finds it and whoever answers the phone or gets the contact.
Yeah.
Okay? I mean, I'm just trying to incentivize fighting the tyranny here. I bet if I said $5,000, somebody hook a damn mic up in there.
I'll take it.
What the hell's going on around here? It's like G. Gordon Liddy used to sit there and say, we've got East German and old equipment here, CBS, or whatever he was. Anyways, that's guys, good job.
Thank you.
I want to say it's good news that it's only triple on average, or 90-something micro rads.
Micro rents.
Micro rents. But unfortunately, that's not good news.
It's not. You know, like I said, this stuff bioaccumulates, and very concerned that this stuff will just keep going up. But we'll see. You know, they're starting to test the kelp and other things, so at least hopefully now we can get more of a word out there.
See, what it is they don't only have the mic plugged in there, they have those mics plugged into that input. And I told them the last 4 times, I said, there's more inputs there. Hook that mic and then leave the inputs. But not going to happen. Not going to happen. Okay, I want 400 mics in there. How's that sound? Just like the Parliament in England.
I like the NSA.
Exactly. Hey, we could call the NSA. Will you mind? Hey, NSA, you mind turning the mics and the computers on in there? Well, we know they're already on. Could you pipe that through the studio for us? It's like roadside assistance, you know, with the NSA. Help me, my car's broken down. I know there's a cell phone embedded inside the dashboard in all the new cars.
Yeah.
I'm out here. Come get me. Save me. Back, people wanting to prove they're innocent now are trying to access all the road boxes, all the trackers, and they're saying no. No, when we want to prosecute you, you can't access any of the stuff proving you're innocent.
Yeah, and we had OnStar in our vehicles when we were out there, and there's nothing we can do about it.
And they admit that's listening to you the entire time.
Yeah.
You don't like that?
I like my privacy, Alex. You know, I know I'm a
you're an extremist, Don. You are too. You don't like microphones embedded on record listening to you.
Didn't like it.
I don't like the NSA.
You don't like an AI computer listening to everything you're doing. I mean, you might be a criminal. You might be a murderer. I might be.
Well, as much as I don't like it, it's happening every day at all.
We should only trust the government. They don't get watched. We get watched.
You know, Alex, when we went to San Francisco and I talked to that guy, and he's like, I don't want to be on camera, and I had to educate him. I said, the NSA's watching you without your permission. These cameras out here are watching you without your permission. But I guess he was okay with that.
Well, here's the deal.
It wasn't in his face. You remember when the guy went out there with the boom mic of tyranny, you're sticking it in people's faces, then they got defensive. But if you do it on the low, then nobody cares about it.
That's right. People think, too, that you can't film them in public. Only if you're filming a commercial ad or if it's a movie. Then you put up signs saying a movie's being shot if you walk through here. But if I'm collecting news, that's how they shoot the news at the mall. You see the little kids and stuff. You don't need authorization. You're in a public place. It's the same way they film us in public, the police. But when they jack into your house or jack into your computer or steal your cell phone data, that is felonies every time. Shakari Jackson, Don Salazar, thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
I know you'll have more on the Nightly News and the radioactive fish you got on video. All right, folks, shifting gears here into some other areas. And I know we got loaded phone lines with David and Simon and Catherine and Jerry, and we will get to all of you by hook or by crook in the next segment, a little bit of overdrive. There's tons of news at prisonplanet.com and Infowars.com right now. And we are going to bring the crew in here in a moment who are out there at the West Coast with the reporters, the print reporter and the TV reporter that were just in here, Jakari Jackson and Don Salazar. But briefly, I try to have some fun sometime on this show, or I will actually have a breakdown dealing with all this stress, but it is gallows humor. We're in a deadly serious situation, and I know you know that. But responding to the globalists and taking action is the way to go. And so many people I run into on the street, so many people I get emails from, so many people I talk to on other radio shows when I'm a guest, heard about this broadcast by people that are prisonplanet.tv members. Each membership for 15 cents a day, $5.95 a month, has 11 people that can use the same username and passcode. Make sure it's unique to the site so you can share it. Don't have to be the same username and passcode to your bank account. And share it with friends and family, neighbors, and others. And tell them, here's your subscription to an alternative, forbidden knowledge news site with films, HD, podcasts, you name it. And then that just helps pay for the bandwidth. We're running to the end of the month, where you can get 5.3 months free at prisonplanet.tv as well. So you can sign up and get a year and get even more off the $5.95 per month, get an even lower price when you sign up at prisonplanet.tv. But those of you that have the memberships, share them. It's having a big effect. Those of you that have memberships, I want to thank you for being members, and I want to ask listeners to continue to support our multimedia operation that is the tip of the spear by becoming prisonplanet.tv members today. It is absolutely essential. Now, folks know Josh Owens. He went out to the NSA with Gucciardi and with Weldon Henson. And did a great job covering that. That became a national news story, drawing attention to what was happening. We're just filming outside. They threatened to arrest us, but they're criminally surveilling us. And then, of course, we have Glenn Trolls, who is a great cinematographer and filmmaker and news guy who's come to work with us for the new TV studio and stuff we're launching. And they were both there. I wanted to just get their take on it. But Glenn, you also brought a medical test you got a while back. I want to, before we go any further, do a document cam over here. And show people this medical test that he'll then go into for folks that shows the levels of radiation. So the headline on this, we need to do a story maybe with the Nightly News where you concisely break this down, is InfoWars reporter tests positive for higher levels of radiation. And then we use the fact that you lived in California and have now gotten this medical test by Toxic Metals Urine 24-hour. And you can break this down from Doctors Data, Inc., what they found because you lived in California, and tell us why you got tested first off. Good to have you with us.
Oh, thank you, Alex. Basically, I had been feeling a little bit lethargic, and I was a little concerned about my health, and so I got off gluten a while ago, and as part of that, I wanted to improve my health as much as possible. So I had Doctors Data run a toxic metals test on me. It's a provocation test. They test my urine for 24 hours. Then they give me EDTA intravenously, and then they test me again to see what comes out. And I came off the charts on cesium and lead. And I really believe that's because I'd lived out in California through that whole Daiichi nuclear meltdown. And
you told me that when you finally detoxed and did all this, how much weight did you lose?
I lost 90 pounds. Yeah.
Unbelievable. Yeah. So you shed all that garbage by losing the weight.
That's true.
That's what doctors have told me. You run, you exercise, you sweat. That's how you can get radiation out.
Sit in the sauna, yeah, and did the vitamins, the iodine now. A lot more energy. I feel great. My thyroid is healthy. I feel very good. And I'm very happy. And I'm still working on this, but very concerned about it.
But I mean, this is big. Tell us where you lived out there during Fukushima's first blow-up.
Well, I lived on the Central Coast by the Diablo Nuclear Canyon Power Plant, and I traveled to Los Angeles a lot to shoot, as well as San Francisco to shoot, so I'd be all over the state, staying in hotels and working on beaches and all kinds of things, so I was everywhere.
Again, give folks your levels. This is breaking news.
You know, I haven't extrapolated this with the doctor, but I just know that it's outside of the reference point that it should be. It's definitely into the danger zone.
What did they say to you about that?
They said that I should do the chelation.
Can I see that to show folks a document cam again?
Yep.
And again, I want to do an official report with you in studio in there sometime next week to break this down, because this is a big deal, folks. Show TV viewers, Infowars.com/show or PrisonPlanet.tv. People can see this. But, I mean, describe for people that are out there basically what we're talking about here. Cesium, that's what was coming off of the reactor. And talking to physicists, if it is cesium, that means it's unnatural.
Right. You can look at the second page to describe that there for you in 2 paragraphs.
Oh, it says right there, this individual's urine cesium level is higher than expected, reflecting exposure to CS. But symptoms may not be evident. And then it goes on to say environmental contamination of CS-137, that was Fukushima, as a result of radioactive fallout could be a concern. You have doctors in a report saying Fukushima.
From out of Chicago, doctors' data.
Unbelievable. You're a smart guy. You felt like crap when you got your blood tested.
It doesn't take much brains to do that, I guess.
All right, Josh Owens, give me your take on the trip, and then let's get your take, Glenn.
Overall, I was pretty surprised about the levels that we found. Beforehand, I guess maybe I was being naive, and I thought maybe we would get the same levels that were in the viral video that was shot, the 124, I think, 120, whatever the levels were. And we went out there, and at Surfers Beach, we got 10 times the levels of what's supposedly normal, and also we know what supposedly normal is 30, used to be 15. So, I mean, and then soon, like you said, it'll be what we got was normal, and then people will go out there, levels will get higher.
It's only 5,000, that's normal.
Right, that'll just become the new normal.
Everybody's dying, that's normal.
Right, the new normal is death. But, and then when we...
That's a good bumper sticker.
The new normal is death. But then we stopped at the water facility, and this, I don't know a better way to say it, this punk piece of trash security guard comes up, and he just, like, obviously he's on a huge power trip. He has no real power. I mean, he's a security guard outside of this plant. He comes out in this little tiny buggy to come tell us to stop filming, and we just continued filming. And then he said that we can't use the footage that we filmed of it because it's a federal facility, even though we're on public property.
Well, and it's a water treatment plant. It's really under federal InfraGard, infrastructure protection, but that's been overthrown in the courts. It's total fraud.
Right, and just like at the NSA, they come up and they try and intimidate you. And when you aren't intimidated, then they get a little bit scared. And then even when I was getting the audio of Jakari talking to the actual police officer, he comes up to me and he says, are you guys here to cause a problem? And I said, obviously we're not. We were across the street just filming a report.
No, you're here to cause a problem, claiming that I've done something. You're trying to escalate this to violate my First Amendment. Do you want your kids growing up in a country like this? Skip this network break. I'm out of control. Because I've got to end this with you guys and go to the calls as promised. And again, that's why you got to financially support us, folks. I skip half the breaks. I'm bankrupting the show, but I can't help it here. I mean, this is too important. So only network breaks, though, not your local breaks for the stations. Support them. Yeah, I mean, you know, they always back off with me because I just look at them and I have moral authority. And I don't call them sir when they're trying to violate your First Amendment. I go, man, you're out of bounds, and you know it. And so if you want to act like a North Korean thug, go ahead and do it. I mean, at first I'm like, come on, First Amendment. If they keep going, I go, hey, you better watch it. And I've been too busy to sue the Dallas Sheriff's Department. I'm probably going to get around to that because I said I would. I need to. But there's just bigger fish to fry with missing nukes. And I'm not here. They go, why are you bashing cops? Why are you bashing the First Amendment? We're not in North Korea. Go ahead.
Right. Well, yeah, when he came up to me and said that, I was like, well, you know, no one's here trying to cause a problem. And he said, well, he was pointing to Jakari, and he said, well, he's mouthing off. And because
yeah, see, mouthing off is saying, I have a right to be on a sidewalk as a news agency.
Right, because we didn't walk across the street and bow down to them and grovel. We were mouthing off and trying to cause an issue when all we were doing was filming something. They come over, they make a confrontation.
Come into the mic.
They come over, they start a confrontation because the guy has no real power at all, but he's out there with his little suit. And to be really honest, and I'm not trying to be mean or anything, I'm not convinced that he wasn't mentally retarded. Because he just came over, his face was just, I mean, just you see certain people, and he comes over, and it's just, it's mind-blowing that he is living in like a total land of confusion. Like he thinks that...
Well, people are in artificial la-la land. I mean, you'll be filming cops sometimes, and they walk over with their mouths up and go, oh. I mean, in New York, they go, I'm about to beat you. I'm going to put you in jail. And it's like, I can't believe a black person sitting at the front of the bus. You're going to get in the back. I mean, it literally comes down to mental illness.
Right, and that's how it was in Dallas. All those cops in Dallas, I mean, they just had that look on their face that it's like there's something mental.
You're talking about the sheriff's department?
Yes, yeah, in Dallas. Yeah, when during JFK.
No, they all look like they've been put in a microwave oven.
Yeah.
Do you see how the Dallas cops look different?
Yeah.
You can literally look at someone and tell.
Yeah. I mean, they looked at us like we were literal trash, just like this other guy. But I mean, when I'm sitting there and I'm filming and they act that way, I feel bad for them almost. I feel...
Yeah, you're a news agency reporting on radiation, doing spot checks. We're told by insiders, go to the water plants. That's where you'll find the radiation. That's been in the news as well. And it's like, how dare you as a news agency come across the street and film the building? Oh, my gosh, the government just spies on you illegally in your private stuff, and that's okay, but how dare the people want to do a report? I mean, it's the worst thing on the world. Why are you causing a problem?
Right. Well, I mean, I should have just shut my mouth, turned the camera off, and walked away, and then that would have been fine. He would have felt safe.
Oh, dear, pesky earth creatures videotaping us. Arrest him. Seize him. What do you think this is, America? This is the planetoid North Korea.
And that's obviously their mind state. And that's obviously what's going on in their head in that moment. They think that they are big, powerful.
There's no need to fear. North Korea, America is here.
Why don't we just ask North Korea to come over and run things? You know, Homeland Security hired former heads of the Stasi to come set up Homeland Security. Why not? Why not hire Kim Jong-un? Hell, why not make him president? We could just make him dictator. We're already making Obama dictator. Why not?
Sounds good. Make Dennis Rodman the vice president.
Well, don't worry. We're going to get their guns, okay? Only the government needs to have guns, Glenn. Hey, listen, I've been ranting here. Make your points, brother, about the whole trip, things that stood out to you.
All right, Alex. Well, you've always been a voice in the wilderness, and it's evidence way back the day after the explosion. Kurt Nemo came out, and he said massive cover-up underway in Chernobyl. Same day, Reuters is coming out there saying there will be no repeat of the Chernobyl disaster. And another article, Oregon Live, they're saying the same thing.
So you show how we told the truth, the mainstream media lied.
Exactly.
Let me see those. I'll show the document cam. Other points.
From day one. I have friends who live out there, some really close friends, Brittany and Mike in Monterey Bay, and they have a 1-year-old baby. And they saw the article from the Pediatric Journal of Medicine, and they're terrified, but they don't have the funds to just relocate.
Yeah, tell folks what the Pediatric Journal said.
It says on the West Coast there's a higher rate of thyroid disorders in children and babies.
Yeah, because fast-growing cells on average are 5 times more susceptible. Baby cells, children's cells, are more susceptible to radiation than adults.
And
I mean, our cells are done dividing. They're not dividing as fast. We're dying. Not them. They're forming.
And, it hurts me a lot.
No, yeah.
I told them, they said, what can we do? I said, get on some iodine, get the baby on a little bit of iodine, talk to your doctor, see what you can do. But don't do nothing. My God.
Oh, yeah, they won't even tell people, get iodine, get salt with iodine. They won't tell them, don't eat the fish. They just won't tell you because they're the heroes and we're the zeros.
That's right.
We're just troublemakers, man. Like, don't tell the troops DU's killing them. Don't tell the troops Agent Orange is bad. Why am I complaining about Agent Orange? What's it done to me? I don't know, killed my cousin, their firstborn, no deformities in the family history, and they said, no, it's Agent Orange, holes in his heart. And then my uncle, when the doctors looked at him, didn't smoke, didn't drink, but they looked at his organs and they said, well, a lot of this is Agent Orange. He has lesions we see from basically heart attacks in helicopter pilots from Vietnam from Agent Orange. He had evidence of a heart attack when he was, in his late 20s in Vietnam. Quits playing football for LSU, joins the military, volunteers for Vietnam, goes over there, and they have him flying through bug poison that they know full well wasn't just an herbicide, but was a chemical weapon.
If anything else, I also talked to some girls at the Oregon State University, and they were totally oblivious to it. One girl was actually Japanese and lived in Monterey, and when I told her all about, Half Moon Bay area, and when I told her all about this, she was like, I've never heard of any of that before. She was stunned.
Honestly, I think we should just trust our president in every decision that he makes, and we should just support that.
Play her again.
Honestly, I think we should just trust our president in every decision that he makes, and we should just support that,
I think we should make her president.
Be faithful.
And then make the vice president that Miss Teen USA that goes, U.S. Americans, such as South Africa. How about that?
We'll live in idiocracy. Yeah, and that's what it's coming to.
I'm going to go to break, come back in overdrive. Some stations don't carry it. Infowars.com /show for the free feed. All the rest of the feeds at prisonplanet.tv. I used to do 4 hours, and then I quit doing it, but some stations still carry the 4th hour. Some days it's live, some days it isn't. But we're going to come back with that. I might as well just go back to 4 hours and have all the stations pick it up, What's the point, guys? Hey, Glenn, you've been here a few months. What do you think of it?
Most awesome thing I've ever done.
Now, you notice what you got here, that Israel and the Vatican and the space aliens were all giving us orders.
That's right. You're all controlled by those folks. I've got to give into it.
So you've seen it, though, right? You've seen the...
Absolutely. There's a couple out there right now.
But you know, the problem is actually no one's running this place.
I thought you were the Vatican assassin.
Exactly. Well, that's what Charlie Sheen said. Oh, boy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to break. We're going to come back. Thank you, guys. Great job. All right. Hey, you know, so what? He's got off the chart cesium in his body. What's wrong with that? Sure, the doctors say it came probably from Fukushima. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with it? Don't detox. Don't get it out of your body. Don't sweat it out. Don't chelate. Don't take iodine. Hell, take cyanide. They say, no, actually, it'll kill you, folks. Don't take it. All right, we're not going to retransmission. Infowars.com/show. We're coming back with your phone calls. Dave and Jerry. I got to practice my James Earl Jones. I don't do that very often. Now that I'm getting off into it. Autobots. I have to get arrogant and think of myself as John Wayne to do it. Autobots, transform and roll out. All right, here we go. I'm going to stop screwing around. I apologize. Really serious subjects today. I went off in the goofball zone. I apologize. Let's go ahead and talk to David in California, talking about the Obama dictatorship and solutions. Go ahead.
General Alex, Private David requests permission to share 8 motivational words from a fallen patriot and submit a battle plan for your approval.
Sure.
Okay. The words are, if you ain't mad, you ain't paying attention. Those came from a man who passed away a few years ago of pancreatic cancer from Los Angeles by the name of Kerry Anderson. He was a great man. He was a patriot. Okay.
If you ain't mad, you ain't paying attention.
That's right. You put those, you get mad and it motivates you, okay? Now we're motivated. So we need to take this battle to the enemy. We need to make phone calls 24 hours a day. Anytime you get near a phone, call Congress. Tell them you're sick of the homeless Americans out here because the illegal aliens stole their job. Tell them how cold it is out there at night at 2 o'clock in the morning. They have answering machines. Bombard them with phone calls 24/7. Call my congressman. Call your congressman. All he wants is zip code. Look it up. Just do it. Call them. That's number 1 in the battle plan. Number 2, we need to go to Gun Owners of America. They've got free emails and stuff you can send through them. There's 2 sites, if I could give out their names. You can send faxes straight to Congress, millions and millions of faxes. You can go to capsweb.org, capsweb.org, send faxes about illegal immigration, tell them you're sick of it, we want them all deported, whatever, and then go to numbersusa.com, send faxes there too. Okay, we can go on Craigslist, put in simple little things.
Well, I mean, even if you want open borders, which the big banks want, who are not our friends, to collapse all of our countries, they want to make it all a racial issue. It's not. I mean, for some it is on both sides, but the real issue for the globalists is breaking the country and getting everybody on welfare and getting them to vote, take our guns. You can't have Obama dictatorially outside of law legalize the illegals, as he's already doing. I mean, it is just unprecedented. I agree with you. I appreciate your call. We got to move quick to get to everybody. Thank you, Dave. Thanks for holding. Jerry in Georgia. Jerry, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Alex, I'm an internet guy. We need to use the system against them. Tyrannies are paranoid. When I'm looking at 10, 20 Google articles about the guy that was searching for pressure cookers and the cops came and questioned him. Well, every time you're out, every time you're passing an internet cafe that's not your computer, a FedEx, a business center, and a hotel, do an innocent query, nothing illegal, just an innocent query. The NSA, what would they do if they had 10,000 of those queries come up?
Now, listen, I don't want to poo-poo what you're saying. This is like jamming the NSA with everybody saying bombs, you know, president, you know, we launch operation on the 5th. They only raided that Florida house as PR to make it look like the family searched for pressure cookers. And so they went and raided, I think it was a Hispanic family's house. That's done to go, we are spying on you, but it's for your own good. They're spying on economic data. They're spying on their competition. They're spying on law enforcement agencies that aren't corrupt, that might find globalist operations. So I'm not poo-pooing what you're saying. I think when you're searching, you search liberty information, government drug dealing information, and then add it to other things like new microprocessor discovered, or you know, things like, you know, we're bringing the stuff in tomorrow at this place, because they do want to know about drugs, because they want to get drugs that you know, that they don't control. They want to stop that to jack up prices. Tell you what, stay there. I'm going to come back to you, and I'm going to tell you how to really mess them up. Okay? Okay. Put in fake drug searches. I want to play this FCC piece in a minute after we take these final calls, because it's so important, and it's really based on solutions. But look at the stories up on drudgereport.com right now. NSA collects 200 million text messages per day, untargeted global sweep. Remember, they said just a few months ago they never do that. Now it's all out in the open. They've been engineering for over a decade chips in all your computers they can remote access when the thing's off, okay? Through walls with air-separated computers where they're not hooked into the internet, okay? I mean, it's like they've been able to act like God or something. It's so criminal. Here's another one. The New York City communist mayor says we need many more cameras. Yes, yes, always more. And then now hackers can get into your refrigerator and your computer because of the wireless systems built into them, even when they're off. So there you go, folks. That's some of what's on Drudge. DrudgeReport.com, then up on Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. Speaker Boehner severely criticized on Facebook for not moving to impeach Obama. That's a great headline, but, you know, how about conservative backlash against Boehner for not impeaching Obama? But it's good. That needs to go viral. Just went up. We need to tweet that out at Real Alex Jones. Also, this did just get tweeted out. I forgot earlier. Viral meme. Obama has his pen and his iPhone, and it just shows we've created our own meme off of Boehner's meme where he's trying to act like he's fighting tyranny, but he's actually enabling and protecting Obama, and people are backlashing over the fact that he's just playing politics. Well, we've created our own. President Obama has his pen and his phone. We have the Constitution. And we have George Washington, by the way, not Boehner. Boehner's trying to act like a leader. George Washington wouldn't compromise like he's done. You can say what you want about George Washington. When he said he stood for something, that's what he did. So that's up on PrisonPlanet.com and Infowars.com. You can retweet it, that article and those memes at Real Alex Jones on Twitter. Jerry, I hate to, you know, tell callers that, well, that's not the best idea. And I'm not saying you're wrong. But NSA has responded last year going, hey, when you guys bomb the internet with bomb this, bomb that, we have systems that know that and histories and connections that it's not an issue. Well, that's another fraud. They're not looking for the term bomb. They pray all day for a real bomber so they don't have to stage it. Okay? I mean, 9 times out of 10, they're staging it, and that's conservative. I'd say more like 19 times out of 20, they're staging it or finding a mentally ill person to wind up. I told you this forever ago. It's now all public via Snowden and government admissions. They are spying on non-Fortune 500 companies to steal their data. They're spying on American companies to shut down America while acting like they do it to help America. They're spying on small businesses and Congress and legislators and preachers and people to have a database to blackmail them. They're planting internet data on people to blackmail them. I mean, nobody's talking about that. They can fake fingerprints, DNA, internet searches. They do it all the time. I mean, their favorite thing at the Pentagon is to plant child porn. That's come out on tens of thousands of computers every few months, and then come in and go, we found this on your computer, but it's okay. Just do what we say, and we won't take you to jail. And you're like, well, everybody in the department has this. I didn't. Yeah, right. Listen, we're going to let you get a national security waiver on this. There just may be a favor down the road, and they're compromised. Instead of going, no, I'm going to fight this. You planted that on my computer. Oh, that's a conspiracy theory. We don't do anything like that. I mean, just stop being naive, people. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it now. So what you do is you go online and you say, which I don't recommend you do. The caller's right that I would not do this on your own personal computer unless you're like me and you don't care. You know, on air doing it, showing people, because they'll try to set you up, put you in a database. But if everybody does it, there's too many people to stop them. I wouldn't do it from your own computer. But if you were walking along at a hotel that you're not even part of and the computer's on, you go to the Apple store, just start, you know, typing in whatever you want in there. And as long as you're not calling for action, you just say, like, the packages will be delivered at 3rd and Liberty tomorrow. I think they'll enjoy it. Or, you know, stuff like that. They're going to think, that's drugs we're not getting a piece of. Let's set that up, take it, and sell it ourselves. You know, I mean, you're going to run into the real system there. The grassroots police aren't corrupt on average. But above them, they're completely corrupt, and they've got naive good guys beneath them that are totally ignorant about what's going on, who can never admit what's going on right above them. A la Serpico is the exception. And there are many exceptions, but this is how it works. I mean, if you want to really get them, just say, you know, at your university computer that you log into, just say, I can't believe it. They achieved cold fusion today, but the professor says don't tell anyone. There's going to be a team of guys in black suits showing up in 3 hours. I mean, just to shut it down. You talk about, I can't believe it. You know, we've come up with this new paperclip design that no one's going to believe. You're going to be robbed. Maybe shot in the head, because that's valuable. And then that's intel'd out to the major aggregators, okay, who literally data mine our brains and then feed it into their artificial intelligence computers to create a forward-projecting, future-predicting system that can actually control the future by augmented stimuli through the media complex and other social systems to be able to test control of the mass. By understanding future movements, you can affect future movements. And this is the big secret of the NSA. But it's not to protect you from bombs. It's to stop the local police department from stopping your bomber on the morning of the CIA drill, where you're going to set up the patsies at the Boston Marathon. Okay, there's your answer. Does that answer your point there, Jerry, or do you agree with that?
No, I agree with that. I wasn't saying search for anything illegal, but search for terms. But yeah, you're absolutely correct, Alex. And I also want to put in a quick plug and say chat about the American Spring coming up, where the colonel and the general and the veterans are marching on Washington. And chat about that, build it up. I mean, everybody should be posting about that and chatting about that.
Oh, yes. Oh, the generals march next week, or the people march on the target next week.
Well, talking about the American Spring, where they're actually going to do an Occupy Washington, D.C. next spring and build that up.
Well, I'll tell you something else you can do is you just keep talking about, you know, the word is spreading of the occupiers. You know, the military knows that the foreign powers have seized America, which has actually happened, and the military now knows. They recognize it. I mean, let me tell you, the globalists are in deep crap. No amount of blowing up schools and blaming it on us is going to help you murderers. I mean, it is. We are engaging them. We're not Germany, not knocking the Germans. We're not Russia. We're not China, folks. We have a history. And I'm telling you, it's not going to go well. There's a reason they poisoned our food and water to dumb us down, because they knew we were the #1 enemy. That's why we're the most. They have hit us hard, folks, with cultural death. And they've beta tested it here, and now they're exporting it everywhere else. We're under a modern mind control system, but knowing is the answer to countering these people. We're going to skip this break and go to the bottom of the hour live here. Let's talk to Catherine in New York. Thanks for holding. You're on the air.
Alex, hi, how are you? I salute everything that you do. The answer to 1984 is 1776.
That's right. God bless you.
Okay. There is a war against natural law and physics. The case with Kelly Thomas yesterday and what you were just describing with Jakari Jackson dealing with the officer, they are above the laws of physics. The powers that be, they are literally trying to override reality and the laws of physics and create situations where if you're just giving them honest feedback by the crazy debt-based situations that they create, they can make a criminal out of you. I mean, that's what they're literally doing.
Well, no, that's like when the cops walk over and you're filming a demonstration or you're filming a wastewater plant on fluoride or whatever, and they walk over and go, why are you causing problems? And it's a total game. And you're like, I'm not causing problems. You just tried to control reality by stating that I'm causing a problem, peacefully exercising my First Amendment. It's you that's trying to violate our sacred rights that have been fought for and dearly paid for. And so many people stood the course and went through living hell so that we would have these basic freedoms. So how about you fight the good fight? And I'm telling you, most cops go, yeah, I know. I've been told to do this. Will you just do me a favor? And I'll say, look, I don't want to argue with you, and I don't want to get in the way of what you're doing, but you know this is wrong. So you're going to have to arrest me if that's what you want to do. I'm not challenging you. This is not a pissing contest. That's what I tell cops on video. Do you want your kids growing up in the country like this? And they'll always go, no, I don't, and just walk off. Because most cops are not bad. I mean, it's like, you're telling me I can't, in a sports jacket with a flagged mic, sit her on a sidewalk from 200 yards away and film a power plant? No. No. I mean, it's one thing. One time I got out and filmed a chemical plant coming back from Corpus Christi with my family fishing because I wanted a cutaway for the news. We'd have a shot of it wasn't a power plant, it was an oil refinery. And, man, state police car shot out from about a quarter-mile away down this road. I saw it coming. I said, that's coming for me to see why I'm filming this, as if terrorists wouldn't look at Google Earth or drive by with a hidden camera. It's just ridiculous. But the point is, shoots up behind me, gets my plate to run it through their suspicious activity database, but goes by me. Okay, you want to put me in your fake database and act like there's real terrorists and all this? Fine. Okay, and there are some real crazies out there. That's what you do. You run the play to the people. You pull up, see who they are if you really think there's terrorists. You don't say, stop filming. Give me a break. It's all make-believe. It's total make-believe. Good point, ma'am. Go ahead.
So the people really need to reflect back to the powers that be, authority, cops, whoever, that it's them. They are not above the laws of physics like they try to think they are, overriding the laws of physics. I was able to actually fit my whole yoga practice in while I was on hold because that's what we need to do. We need to bring the mind back to reality where it belongs and not, people just making up whatever rules they want in their head that's completely disconnected from reality. And if I could just plug really quickly, this weekend out in Long Island, they're having the Save Long Island Forum out in Hoppock, where Bill Still, G. Edward Griffin, Charlotte Iserby, I believe one of your guys is going to be there also. Adam Kokesh is going to be speaking there.
Yeah, well, let's just be clear. He's not one of my guys, but we do support what he's done, but very exciting. God bless you, ma'am. Let's talk to, I just don't want to be all the time I'll have a guest on, and then everything they ever do in the media is Alex Jones reporter, or people will do an InfoWars report and then say they're an InfoWars reporter. And I'm not distancing myself from Adam Kokesh, just he's him, I'm me. That's the only reason I threw that out. God bless you, ma'am. Simon in Texas, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hi, Alex. Thank you for taking my call. I just wanted to talk about the nukes that were going missing out in that West Texas plant. And I mean, if people take the time to step back and actually look at the picture of the whole rather than focus on one thing, and I'm preaching the choir to you, but for some of your listeners out there, I think they get focused on one certain thing that they forget to look at it as a whole. If you actually take a step back and look at this thing as a whole, you can kind of see everything is converging. You take the nukes, and then the generals go. Now you have these officers that, it's more likely that most of these officers have a conscience that wouldn't hit that button. Or then you look at the government buying all those tablets. There's and how all of us as a collective, I'm not talking the mass majority,
No, that's right. Even intelligence, you stand back and look at the big picture, it looks like an oncoming train against freedom.
And it's just, I think people get so focused. I'm not necessarily talking about your viewers or something, but I think that's what people need to pay attention to. You look at, in the Bible and the Christian, I'm a Christian, that you look at the end book, the Revelation, and you look at what's happening. You see, well, okay, I could see that happening because all this is happening because, well, this is the end game and this is what it's going to take to get there. But anyway, with all those tablets they've bought and how the majority of us listeners and stuff, and I know you feel it, that gut feeling that the storm is coming. We just don't know when or what or from what angle, but we know it's out there. We all feel it. It's almost a feeling we can't describe, and I think it's almost a God-given gift. But that's all I had.
No, I hear you. I've never felt the feelings I've been feeling the last few months, and they're intensifying. I've never felt this feeling. The closest thing to it is when some bully starts a fight with you, and they go ahead and get a shot in and hit you, and then your brain turns on. You decide to do what you got to do. I mean, it's more of like we're in a fight. The storm's actually here. They're taking down liberty. They're targeting good people. Bad guys are in control. Sixth sense. Get ready. you're in danger. And it's danger, Will Robinson. And the storm's already here. It's just that the deeper, more hardcore levels of it are about to hit. And it's going to happen in cascades. And just God help us. I appreciate your call. Great point, sir. You know, I'm almost out of time, and I've got a few other news articles I want to hit. I never mentioned this today. It's up on Infowars.com. It is a huge story. Obama-backed Mexican troops disarm and massacre more civilians. Citizens in Mexico are getting guns in the U.S. The vigilantes who defend themselves. Semi-autos. The cartels and the military are getting, their favorite thing's German stuff flown in by the big banks on jet aircraft. That's been in Bloomberg. And the people are fighting back. And the one thing the Mexican army will do is, if a town stands up to the drug cartels that the Mexican army's with, like Sinaloa and others that have come out and run by the U.S. government and the Mexican government, they will come in and massacre the people. It is our government ordering the military and the paramilitaries to kill innocent people. Obama-backed Mexican troops disarm and massacre more civilians. The Obama administration-backed Mexican troops opened fire this week on a group of civilians seeking to keep their weapons and rein in ruthless government-linked drug cartels, which have terrorized their communities. You've heard about these vigilantes bringing order back? Nope. In the state of, and I always pronounce this wrong, Michoacan. The attack sparked an international outcry on behalf of the citizens who have suffered nonstop brutality at the hands of both government officials and cynical criminal cartels, syndicates. News reports, some of which conflict with each other, suggest that around a dozen people were shot and at least 4 were killed in a massacre, including an 11-year-old girl. A Mexican paper reported that a dozen civilians died in the clash. This is unbelievable. And you'll see these guys will have like a single-shot 12-gauge that's like 50 years old. And they'll be fighting off people. I mean, it's just, and they're just enslaving the women, making them go into the sex trade. The Mexican government is just a demonic. Now, this video is so important because it illustrates how to take action. And I suggest everyone go to Infowars.com and watch it. It's video Obama's FCC head confronted over cell phone radiation. I'm going to tweet this out at Real Alex Jones, too. I don't think it was tweeted. And it shows people talking about brain tumors increasing. They go in to confront the FCC head who says, we're looking at acceptable levels that we think are safe. Hands down, cell phones up against your head in one spot literally cooks your DNA. Now, if you got it on hands-free and keep it away from you, every length out from the size of the microwave transmitter is what engineers have described, it lessens by half the power. So even if it's 2 feet away, massive difference, still very bad for you. We're bombarded with this. Cancer's going off the charts. They knew this, and they're upping the power of these phones. Okay, so just understand that. I, 99% of the time, talk with a wire. And still, some of it conduits up from that. It's not perfect. Only use them when you have to. I'm in a war, so I work when I'm driving, fighting the globalist. I do not do a bunch of socializing or BSing on the phone. I make quick phone calls, and I'm done most of the time. But I know I'm killing myself to live doing that, using it as a military application, okay? Don't give them to your kids. Stay away from them. Get the wireless off in your house. It's not a game. Let's go to part of this clip that's been put out by the citizens groups exposing wireless pollution. And, I mean, they just filled up the room and kept asking questions at this event. Here it is.
Tom, how many people have to die from brain cancer before the federal government puts warning labels on cell phones? How many young ladies have to die from breast cancer because there's no warnings and they don't know and they're keeping it in their bra? How many people have to get electro-hypersensitive from the smart grid and have to be driven from their communities? How many? How many does it take? 1 million? You enjoy buying your position from Obama? How much do you pay? $1 million? People dying? It's not just collateral damage. Collateral damage? How many people have to die? Promise.
God is great to me.
Oh, that guy's a great speaker. Ha, ha, ha. But then more and more stand up. Thanks for my husband's brain tumor and many others, Tom. Some of these are easier to hear.
Cancer. When's the FCC going to warn innocent children about getting brain tumors? This is a sophisticated, quiet Holocaust we're exhibiting. How long are you going to experiment with people's lives without real safety standards in place? It's time. It's time you tell the American public.
That guy's authoritative.
Wireless causes cancer. You're killing hundreds and you don't care. You don't give a damn.
Yes, he does.
Tom, you delivered $1 million bribe to the Obama administration, which led to your appointment. You represented the industry for 12 years, and that's all you're going to represent from here on out. You will not represent the public. You will only represent the corporation.
All right, the full video and people talking about their families dying of brain tumors and the surgeons saying, we're getting hundreds of these. Everybody comes in now, they got it in the same spot. The studies show it's the cell phone. I mean, Ted Kennedy died from it. It's a death sentence. Folks, we've got to fight the good fight. Tomorrow on the show, if I'm here, Lord willing, I take every day, you know, as it comes. I don't take any of this for granted, folks. I can't believe I'm still alive, quite frankly, with the globalists, all the stuff they're pulling. Thank you for your prayers. But I wanted to end going out with Fight the Good Fight from Triumph. And I tell you, you know, this song, I was never a fan of Triumph, never really listened to them, but I've heard this song a few times, and it's beautiful lyrics, and it says it all. And it ends with, nothing is easy, nothing good is free, but I can tell you where to start. Take a look inside your heart. There's an answer in your heart. And it's just very, very beautiful and very, very simple. And it's the most fulfilling thing out there. So we'll go out with this. And I'm sorry to other folks we don't have time to get to. Great job to everybody. I'll be back tomorrow.